to We'll Throw the After Party, where I try and post something on the business group Instagram story during the intro and instead post it on my personal story. I'm Liz. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to tell you that I'm Producer Liz everywhere on the internet, except for Twitter, where I'm Producer Liz with 2 Z's. And I'm here with all of our friends and perhaps some surprise guests. Who's to say? I'm going to start with
I'm sorry, I was just really thrown off by you saying with 2 Z's and not with 2 Z's.
I know, I was bracing for it.
Very Canadian of me. And I have a lot of Canadian shit to say this episode, but we're going to get to that later. Don't cue my anger before it starts. I'm here with the besties as always. Welcome, everybody. Great. That was great.
That's
great start. I'm very thrown. I hate accidentally posting on my personal Instagram, so I have to get over that real quick. I want to start with the person in the most interesting location. No offense to the other two, but one of us is at Disneyland, and it's not me. Misa Jar Jar, how are you?
Hi. I'm going to move on from that name. I'm good. Yes, I am in Disneyland, and I know what you're thinking. Marissa, weren't you just in Disneyland last week? Isn't that why you couldn't do the show? Yeah, and I'm back, and let's move on from that. But I'm here.
We are here with your fresh haircut, which I think you've been on the show before, but I'm just saying it looks great.
I think it's only had one show out, so yeah.
Second show
still
out.
Very
Everyone
fresh.
Still ready to compliment Marissa on the hair. Let's all wish Miss Abobissa a happy birthday.
It's not my birthday, but thanks. Oh, it's the thing where I talk about hair in the MCU's birthday. Thank you.
I was like, what?
I think it's my birthday month, actually. And as a Leo, I'm so offended. But no, it is hair in the MCU's birthday.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Your child is aging.
I feel good. I feel like we've accomplished a lot. We've roasted a lot of wigs. And I'm ready to keep going.
And Thor Love and Thunder has provided you some more ammunition for the year to come.
Oh, I'm ready. Yes.
But we'll keep this episode spoiler-free in terms of Thor Love and Thunder, so no one panic if you're watching and you haven't seen it. We'll talk more about it next week.
Yes, of course.
Alexis, how are you doing? You're also here with us this evening with the cute hair we love.
Hi.
Tell the people who you are.
I'm Alexis at Alexis Blake Reads Comics on TikTok and at Alexis D. Blake everywhere else on the internet.
And this week you've been up to a lot of things like working, which is fine.
All I did was work this week. No interesting stories.
I'm really excited to hear what you've been enjoying this week, but we're going to intro Sly first before we get there. But just so everyone knows, Alexis only has one word, and usually she writes 3 lines for what she's been enjoying. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens here.
I can't wait to find out what it means.
Truly. Sly, do you know what Alexis is referring to?
Yes, you do.
No idea. Do I?
I think I do, and yet I have no idea.
We talked about it.
I believe you. I'm sure that conversation happened. I cannot recall off the top of my dome. But hi, I'm Sly. I'm a deaf queer Jane Austen fan, and we're here. We're queer, and we're throwing the after party.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before we throw the after party, is Alexis currently drinking coffee?
Yes.
Alexis, please tell the people the most exciting news. This beats anything that could come out of Comic-Con. There's no announcement that's going to top what y'all are about to hear. Hold on. I'm going to make you full screen for this. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Give Alexis the full screen treatment. Tell the people.
I really like coffee.
Yay!
Oh, I'm so sad that I missed the coffee debut last week.
Coffee Gate?
Yes.
It truly goes down as a moment in We'll Throw the After Party history. We'll have to mark the date and be like, how many shows did Alexis have to do on a weekly basis before she was like, I'm now a coffee addict?
I'm now a coffee addict.
It's beautiful. It's artful, honestly. Who's next? Do we all drink? We all drink coffee. Sly also drinks a lot of coffee. Marissa, you drink a lot of. Go ahead, Sly.
I've been a coffee addict since very young. There have been multiple occasions where I gave out coffee. I abstained. Both times I maxed out at 6 months, and then I was like, I can't function like this anymore. But yeah, I'm a big coffee fan.
Sly proving once again that we are the same person in our showmances. Marissa, are you as addicted to coffee as the rest of us, or do you have more of a casual relationship?
I don't know. We go back and forth. I am a fan, but I think I can only tolerate so much. So yes. Yeah.
That also feels like how you describe everything you love in your life. You have like a very roundabout way of being like, how committed am I to this before I announce it publicly on the show?
That is so real.
Yeah, that's true.
A little too real for only 5 minutes into the show, but I want to know what everyone's been enjoying this week. And Marissa, we're going to put you last this time because you are in the most, what is Disney? The most wonderful place on earth, the most magical place on earth. It's a place on earth. It's
I don't know. One of them's
definitely a
magical,
place.
one of them's happy. I don't know.
It's a place and you're there,
Yeah.
and we're going to hear all about it. But we have to start with Sly because Sly is not me and Sly is not Alexis, and Alexis is going to go first. So Sly, you're up. What did you enjoy this week?
Cool. So this week I finished Transplant season 2, which Transplant, it's a medical drama. I really loved season 1. I didn't realize it got renewed for season 2 until Liz did her Canadian TV shows video, so that was very exciting. I tried to like pace myself watching season 2. Like I'd only watch a couple episodes like a day or whatever. But I finally just like gave up on that and watched all of it. But I really love this show. It's one of the shows that best understands the genre, I think. It really takes what makes a medical drama feel special and expands that in such a brilliant way. It really understands that the beauty in medical dramas isn't the like super rare cases or the super like 1 in a million diagnoses or whatever. It's the relatability and the diverse amount of stories that they're able to tell in both a very quick format, a more extended like episode arc, and then also in like season wide arcs. And it's just it's really well done. If you like medical dramas, it's a really good one. If you don't, I'm sorry, it's a medical drama, but the story is really excellent and super Canadian. So
I have a controversial question.
Yay,
for
Canada.
You. I have a controversial question for you. Sorry, my hair is caught on my microphone. I want to get serious with you. I think that Transplant has the opportunity to be the 911 Lone Star of Canadian television. Do you think it could get there?
It depends on what 911 you're talking about, right? Because
like the characters,
911 has
characters.
It's so varied in how it presents. It like 911 is not very consistent on how it presents itself as a story. So in some aspects, maybe. But this is really more focusing on the like human stories, and season 2's like theme was PTSD. Like the whole season was about
Maybe
like different presentations of PTSD. But 911, depending on like what season of what show you're looking at, can feel so wildly differently. It's hard to compare anything to it.
That's like a very thoughtful answer. And I thought you might just be like, no. So I'll take it. I'll take it. Maybe we'll check back with you when season 3 comes out.
We'll see. Here's the thing. I love the 911 verse. I understand that it's not the pinnacle of television.
Nor does it need to be the pinnacle of television to be what it is to the people who love it. Thank you for being the soundboard as usual, Alexis. We always appreciate you stepping up with the sound effects. Ding, ding, ding. And with that, I'm going to ask you to tell the people what you wrote in the show doc for what you were enjoying this week.
It's what I was enjoying this week. Rabbits.
Is that it?
That's it. That's what it is. Okay, so I, in keeping with my trend of talking on this show about media from like multiple years ago, I re-listened to Rabbits this week, which is a radio drama out of Pacific Northwest Stories / the Public Radio Alliance / Minnow Beats Whale. It's one of those always Terry Miles, sometimes Paul Bay radio drama. It's like in that universe with the Black Tapes and The Last Movie and Tanis. And it's...
Oh man, Tanis. I forgot about that show.
Don't get me started. I have some issues with Tanis. But the idea behind Rabbits is that there is possibly an ongoing alternate reality multiplayer game happening in our world that revolves around the Mandela effect. And by identifying universal divergencies, the idea is that we can stop multiversal convergence. So, for example, a player will...
That's some Dr. Strange shit.
Yeah, a player will she finds a photo on her computer. She's like, but this photo is impossible because I lost that shirt 3 years before that Starbucks was built.
Oh,
so,
I love that.
I couldn't have taken that photo. So it's really... It's surrounding that idea. Like all of the shows from that network, it's told from like the first person reporting point of view, week to week. So it's got that serial setup. And the first season follows Carly Parker, who is an average reporter searching for her friend, Yumika Takato, who disappeared under mysterious circumstances while they were investigating the effects of gaming. And so it kind of follows that story. But it's told via an unreliable narrator that I would argue at times is more unreliable than they possibly intended. But it plays with that idea in a really interesting way. I find the shows from that network to be a pretty good gateway drug into radio drama. But I will say that Rabbits is best binged. I think that was... like when people were reviewing the show, that was like the number one complaint, that it was hard to keep up with week to week. But in full disclosure, so it's not a creepy show, but it is a show where I binge 7 episodes and then can't walk to my car by myself because it plays with like your interpretation of reality enough that it's a little kooky. So keep that in mind. But I highly recommend it. That's what I did this week.
Anytime anyone, like companies, are looking for someone to sell them on something, we're going to send them a clip of me describing this because like I need to binge it. I'm going to like end the show. Like that's it for this week. Thanks for coming so I can go watch. That's so exciting.
Yeah. Thanks.
So are we all going to like binge listen in the next week and then have a discussion next week? Is that what we're doing?
Sometime we need to, because I would love to break it down.
Consider it added to the list of things I will do to get you to watch Dune. First Dune reference of the night. Ding, ding, ding. We're going to talk about this later. I don't have a lot to say. I was having a busy working week. I had a long day yesterday. I literally watched the 2 episodes we're talking about tonight, like within the past 3 hours. So like, if I don't know things, it's on that short-term memory that I struggle with. That's why I try to watch the show at the beginning of the week, because by Saturday, I remember everything. But if I remember nothing, I mean, our recaps are going to really tell the whole story, I think. But I did go see Thor: Love and Thunder, and it was very exciting because we did not plan it. We decided like an hour before we were going that we were going to go. We showed up. They had like Wanda cup toppers. It was very exciting. Like from beginning to end, the experience was a thrill. Was not as thrilling as Marissa's week, though. So I'm going to toss it right over to you. Tell the people what you've been up to.
Hi. What have I been up to? Well, last week I wasn't on the show because I was in Disneyland. And then I left Disneyland and went to LA. And I also saw Thor: Love and Thunder last night with a bunch of our creator friends, including Bucky, who's in the chat right now. And then
And you can
today-
see photos of all the collaborations of your dreams on Marissa's Instagram.
Oh yeah, everybody all over. Yeah,
It's like when all your favorite YouTubers used to do collaborations, like back in the day. Like we're talking like the British vlogger era, but like of current TikTok. That's what happened. It's truly extraordinary.
It was pretty crazy. We went to dinner afterwards, and we were all like, "We are the like theater kids going to Denny's after a show." Like the volume our conversation got to, it was crazy, but it was so much fun. And then today I came back to Disneyland because last week I was meant to go with my brother and he wasn't able to go. So now we're here together. And at some point during the show, he may cross behind me because
He might be a special guest. We shall see.
over there working. Oh no, he heard me talking about him. He's
I would
Hey!
never do that. That would be really rude.
Hi!
After the show. Hello. Hi. I would never do that ever.
Can you please tell him to keep doing that as he says things or as he listens to you say things he disagrees with?
keep doing that. He gave a thumbs up. He's ready.
I just wanted to walk back and forth all night, like with signs about how he feels about things.
If you want a proper introduction to Jack, you can watch our Hawkeye after party. Our Hawkeye after party finale, where he was a guest on the show. Oh yeah, Jack came to Love and Thunder with us, and Danielle dubbed him Brother Bobissa.
I need everyone to know we didn't script that. That's not in the show doc. Like,
This is old yet. I'm assuming it has. Yeah. Brother Bobissa, follow me on all socials except don't, because that's not my real
his
handle.
social.
change it!
Yeah, have fun.
Change the ads, Jack! We are begging for Brother Bobissa.
Oh my god, he's gonna watch this back and actually hear what everybody else is saying.
I'm rebranding the show. I'm leaving. I'm going to rebrand the show right now.
So that's been my week.
Has it?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a pretty accurate representation of what it's been like.
I'm begging Jack to continue.
We love Jack, our comedy king.
It's like, you know how Jimmy Kimmel has Guillermo off to the side? Like, we have
Yeah.
Jack off to the side.
Very that.
Oh, wow. This is my favorite show. I know it's our show and I'm biased, but this is my favorite show. And before we go to our favorite segment, if you like that, please subscribe wherever you're watching. We had 2 people unsubscribe this week, and we were about to hit 400 followers. And I'm not saying I'm upset about it, but it is my birthday month, so no one can be mean to me for the next few weeks.
I'm upset about it.
I'm upset about
Okay,
it. I'm
yeah.
pissed.
Please make sure you're subscribed wherever you are currently watching. Same goes to the replayers. Hello to our replayers that watch every week. Now listen to the replayers really quick. You might be quiet, but we know you're watching because we check those stats like hawks to see who comes in. Like Hawkeye, one might say, like Kate Bishop, one may say. We're there and we see you. We know you come and rewatch the show and you come in late and watch it back. So hello to you. We love you. We see you. And thank you for watching whenever you do. And to everyone watching live, it's so nice to see familiar faces every week. I think every week we start the show and think no one's going to come. So to see all of you come back week after week and be a part of this with us truly makes me want to cry. I think everyone else probably feels the same. We truly appreciate everyone, whether you are watching live or watching the replay. But to the replayers, y'all leave more comments. We see you. We know you're there. And with that, let's go to everyone's favorite segment of the week, our rants. This week, I saw one of Alexis's notes in the show doc. So I do want to say after my rant, Alexis, I want to toss it to you to add to my rant if you would like with your perspective, because I am ranting about how I think Bunny on Only Murders in the Building would not have died if she was in Canada. And it's not a spoiler for the show. It is if you haven't watched any of it. Sorry, Bunny dies. It's kind of what the whole second season press tour is about if you've seen any of
It's
it.
literally the opening of the first episode of season 1. So like
As to how that
you
is
maybe
related to my
spoils
rant.
5 seconds.
Oh, sorry,
It
it's
is
not related.
true.
It's not related to your rant, Alexis. You left a comment way down in the notes doc about how you also think Bunny would have survived if she was in the South. So I'm going to do my rant, and then I'm going to toss it to you to add any Southern-based context that you think is relevant. No, you have a very different rant, so we will come back to that. Marissa, what are you ranting about this week?
I'm gonna rant about the merch choices available in Disneyland and some improvements I might make.
Some? Are you going to overhaul the system? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sly, I am just reading what your rant is.
So this week I titled my rant in the style of like an academic journal article title. You know how they always do like the silly, like catchy name colon and then what the rant is or what the article is actually about. So my rant this week is titled "Liz is a great friend: expectations and their influence on enjoyment."
I might ask each of you to do a rant about me in the lead up to my birthday, based on this. So
absolutely! I'm there.
To say.
Definitely.
Very different reactions to that.
Wow.
Okay, Alexis, what are you going to rant about this week?
I'm ranting about a tweet that Marissa shared with me and its origins and why I'm pissed that no one has given me a gay mafia romance novel.
I respect it.
Which is why I was confused when I thought my rant was also related to your rant about Bunny, which does not appear to be about Bunny being gay or in the mafia.
I can confirm that I will not be speaking about Bunny being gay or the mafia or any combination of such factors during the duration of my rant. Okay, but I will be talking about Canada. Okay. And if you're Danielle, those all might be the same thing. So with that, I will start. So in this episode of Only Murders in the Building, and this isn't really a huge spoiler, but like it's kind of a spoiler. Sorry, you have to deal with it. There's this whole thing where Bunny brings a bottle of champagne to the trio since they finished the podcast, and she says, "Thank you for saving the Arconia." And they don't invite her in to have a drink with them. And I literally was like, I don't know if I've ever turned away anyone at my door because it's such a custom here to invite people in when they come.
Okay, I entered the Disneyland resort with the intent of purchasing the Scarlet Witch mini ears. They do not exist currently in this I don't know how big Disneyland is. They are not here. And I had to beg and plead for them, but they're not here. Anyway, I went on a search for them anyways. I went to every single store that sells merch in both parks and downtown Disney looking for them in like the back of like the clearance section, and they're not there.
All right, so this week, there was a thing that people saw, right? And Liz saw this first, and I immediately texted Liz, "Hey, here is my super controversial opinion about another thing that people love. Will I enjoy this thing?" And Liz said, "Absolutely not. You will not have any fun watching this thing that is popular." And she was wrong, and I'm so happy about that.
Okay, so there is a tweet that has been recirculating about how the Mafia team lifted its ban on gay relationships, gay and queer relationships, upon finding out that one of the mafioso's sons was a drag queen, which is not exactly how this went down. So this actually happened in 2019. And what started it was that there was a discovery of a bunch of...
So it's not just that I haven't turned away people when they come to my door. It's like no one would under any circumstance. Like, I don't think anyone realizes just how easy it is to invite yourself in Canadian culture. Like, if you show up with something in your hand and say, "Hello, I'm here," like, if you got turned away, it would be the talk of the town. That's just not how it works. So the fact that these three said thanks and shut the door in Bunny's face, listen.
Okay, so that being said, I have experienced all of the merch available in the Disneyland parks, every single piece. And can I just tell you, it needs some help. Specifically, there is not a scrap of Wanda Maximoff merchandise available in this establishment. not a phone case, not a t-shirt, not a sweatshirt, certainly not the ears, not a hat, not a poster. I don't know what else.
I went into this thing that everybody was very excited about and loved, thinking that I was going to have a bad time. I was like, I'm not going to enjoy this. This is fine. I still am going to watch it. I want to know what's at. And with that being my expectations, I actually had an absolute blast. And so, like, now looking back, I'm like, it's not up my alley very much, but I thought I was
this
going to hate it and
actually
didn't.
came from the discovery of a bunch of letters that were shared between two men in the mafia who had a secret relationship for a really long time. And after those letters were found and that relationship was discovered and everyone was tortured but ultimately probably lived, then it was discovered that there were other gay men in the mob and that a mafioso's son was, a drag queen. And so then the
only
mafia
murders took
decided,
place in Canada, and specifically the episode airing this week, if it was happening in real time, here's how I think it would have gone. Or like if Bunny's death had happened in real time to Canadian events, Bunny would have showed up at the door with a bottle of champagne, probably more like a 2-4, and they would have been like, all right, bye, like come on in, and they would have come in, they would have had some 2-4s, they would have had a great time. And then like this, whoever killed Bunny would have like shown up, probably would have taken him hostage, probably would have offered him a beer, and they probably would have like had a right laugh about the whole thing. And then the show.
Okay, so beyond just not having Wanda merch, which makes no sense because it's one of the most popular entities that is available on Disney Plus, WandaVision, and she's a permanent character in the parks Avengers campus. That beyond that, there's no Bucky merch, not a single piece. The only thing available in the Avengers merch store is a phone case with just like a picture of Sebastian Stan from the like Falcon and the Winter Soldier promotional poster. I don't want that. I want Bucky Barnes themed merchandise.
I think this is something really important to keep in mind when we're talking about media and critique and enjoyment and how we compare projects, right? Especially in this like era of like hype culture where people get so excited and so worked up about these big things, and then all they have to say are negative things about this thing they were so excited for because it didn't live up to their wildest dreams and expectations. And that's just like not a fun way to consume media. Like, why would you do that to yourself?
and at that point, they kind of said, like, even though we've taken advantage of queer people for centuries, Stonewall, and even though we have used machismo as an excuse to like hate crime people, we are now okay with it as long as you're sweet like these romance letters and you're not like making a big fuss and a big play and throwing parades. But the moral of the story, like the mob is the mob, right? The moral of the story is that an exchange of letters happened.
The story is that I think I'm actually just pitching Letterkenny, which is a Canadian show, and if you haven't watched it, you should. Because I think that Letterkenny could do the Only Murders plot, but Only Murders could not do Letterkenny. This whole thing is very American and very New York, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but as a Canadian watching, I'm like, I don't know if this would even be possible in our culture. So, Bunny, you would have been welcome in Canada. We would have taken your champagne and brought you in, and you would have had a grand old time. The end.
Okay. Not a scrap of Wanda merch, not a scrap of Bucky merch. Also, not a single piece of Kenobi themed merch in Galaxy's Edge. I spent hours in Galaxy's Edge. I went to every single merch store in Galaxy's Edge. Not a single piece of Kenobi merch. Also, I didn't see any Encanto merch. That doesn't make sense. Why are you not capitalizing on your popular entities? Your popular IP. I didn't see like almost any Frozen merch. Like this just doesn't make sense. Why are you not selling the things people want to buy?
Summation, Liz is a great friend because she told me I was going to hate something and then I didn't hate it. And because I went in expecting to hate it, I actually had a good time. And that's awesome. So get yourselves friends like Liz who will set the bar on the floor for things that you are about to watch, because then you're going to have way more fun than if your expectations are like sky high. So yeah, that's my rant. Don't
The
expect
moral of the
things.
story is that this happened in 2019 and no one has written me a romance novel about it. I mean, that is prime. Like two mafia soldiers are gay and they fall in love by writing letters back and forth and then they get tortured and like nobody wrote me a damn book about it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and I read mafia romance as like nobody's business. There are a lot of really bad ones, okay? But I can't believe that this one was not created at all.
And Liz had to leave to get her inhaler. I'm almost positive.
I was
No,
gonna ask
I
if I
didn't wanna-
finally got a Liz inhaler moment.
I didn't want to throw Alexis off. I wanted to let you finish strong without me wheezing. I need a soundbite of Sly saying, "Get yourself a friend like Liz who will set the bar on the floor." And that's it. I was like, finish the fucking thought, bestie.
One of my favorite Liz inhaler moments that I occasionally replay when I get sad is when I looked you straight in the eye and said that I wanted Goran Viznik to be a sweater salesman in the MCU. Literally, I rewatch that on a weekly basis.
I forgot about that.
My favorite is
That
still
was a good one.
Red Taylor's version.
That was bad, man. That was a bad
That was-
one.
Oh.
She had to
Oh.
leave. She had to physically just leave.
I had to roll the chair out of frame.
It wasn't funny. It's just the most memorable to me.
Yes.
Like, it was
Oh,
not funny.
God.
Tomorrow on TikTok, you will find a sound that says, "Get yourself a friend like Liz who will set the bar on the floor," and everyone has to make a video to it and give your best Liz story. That is the birthday gift I am asking
ready.
for from all of you.
God.
Oh, that's so funny to me. Sorry. I try and keep, I know it doesn't seem like it. I do try and keep myself a little bit in line to produce this show. And tonight I've lost it, y'all. The bar is on the floor, as I guess Sly would say.
Danielle, I love you. I don't want to tell you my controversial hot take. I'm sorry. I'm keeping that one close to the chest.
Danielle, I also love you. And if I'm not a consultant on this movie, you're going to have problems.
I'm trying to find the comment from Danielle to pull up for the replayers in case they can't see it.
Oh, this
Oh,
one?
there it is. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Claw, if none of your friends are on TikTok, you can like film the TikTok, screen record it, and then send it to the After Party Show on Instagram. Plug to follow us on Instagram. And then that way we can laugh with you and it will be great. Oh, we have to talk about the Liz Olympics, but I'm going to film a TikTok explaining the criteria for the Liz Olympics, and perhaps we can deep dive into it on next week's show. So that's an Easter egg for next week. But Liz Olympics coming soon. You all can take part as part of this amazing 2 weeks of festivities that will take place.
Occasionally, there are times where I think you cannot possibly be a Leo. And then there are moments like this entire show where it is very apparent.
This whole week, I don't know what shifted in the universe. Liz
Like,
decided
Pluto's
it
in
was his
retrograde
birthday.
or something. Like,
It's her birthday immediately.
Oh yeah, absolutely. July 1st hits, and it's like everyone out of my way.
No,
Sorry,
it wasn't.
Cancer
It was like
season.
it was like you waited a few days. It wasn't July 1st. You waited a few days. You were like, let everyone like settle in to July.
No,
Bam! It's my birthday.
Do you want to know what it actually was? Do you want to know what it actually was? Because there actually is a reason for this. Eddie Munson worms for brains. Like July 1st should have been the kickstart, but instead I just suffered for like 72 hours. And then it was like, okay, Eddie's fine. Let's talk about my birthday. Yeah. Well, I'm so
that is
glad.
true.
I need to know the other moments that this week that led on to the fact that it is my birthday month. Because I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like I'm just being me and perhaps happy for the first time in a few weeks, but we don't have to unpack that live. Let's talk about Only Murders in the Building.
oh my God, I fucking love you.
Let's attempt to recap this episode in a few 30-second increments. This is called the Rowdy Recap.
I literally watched it 2 hours ago, and I'm going to get it wrong.
So who wants to start? Because not Marissa or Liz. Sly, do you think you can start?
I want to
strong?
start.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. This is your official spoiler warning for Only Murders in the Building, Season 2, Episode 3. we'll be talking about this for probably the next 45 minutes or so. We'll be going through our suspect board and talking about more of the show. We're going to hear what Alexis thinks about the South, because I forgot to throw it to you since Sly made my life with that incredible comment. But we will come back to the South and how the South fits into all this. But first, let's recap in case you missed it. Spoilers starting now. Sly, the floor is yours.
All right, so this is recapping, like this whole episode's recapping the last day of Bunny being alive, right? It's March 12th. It's her last day as board president. That's the big thing. She's reading a newspaper where they call the Knicks the Knicker Botchers. I lost it. And then like a couple minutes later, she's walking down the street. She talks to some dude. She tosses her garbage into the trash can and says Linsanity, and that made my life. She wants to go to Boca.
Oh my
Good
god,
for her.
Sly, this is so specific. Okay, yeah, she wants to go to Boca and she's like planning her retirement. And then I think the next thing that happens is she walks into the like cake party where the Only Murders fans are selling merch illegally, and she tattles on them. And then the new board president comes in, and they have like a sweet moment that's deceptively sweet. And then she goes to the pickle diner.
We need to overly emphasize how the opening of this show was Charles being the most chaotic ever, but we can come back to that. Then there's the diner scene where Bunny's talking about going to Florida. She gives a huge tip to the waiter because she has no one else to give her money to. And then she goes back to her apartment, and the board, which are all people we know from the building, like Howard, a little group of them, have thrown a retirement party surprise for her in her room with banners and cookies, and it's very sweet. And her and the new board president get into a fight because Bunny doesn't want to retire because she realizes that she doesn't like the warm and she wants to stay in the cold in New York.
And then at some point she hears music coming from the fancy Grady grate, and she decides to bring real champagne to our trio because they had like earlier they had kind of talked about it in the elevator, and she brings it to them and they give her the hoodie, ding ding ding, but don't invite her inside, which flabbergasted me. And then she cries and laughs and screams, and then she's deceased.
30 seconds to keep going. Anyone
None of
can chime in.
y'all mentioned the fact that she can hotwire the elevator, which
Oh,
I thought was one of the
yeah.
most
That
important pieces.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
So good.
The whole
also one of the most
conversation-
important pieces, all of the podcast fans were there except Ali Stroker. Why was Jabuki there and Ali Stroker
Mhm.
wasn't? Where was she?
She deserved whatever money she asked for.
Hopefully
Disney
booked
Plus,
and blessed.
Hulu. What else
Hopefully
do we
booked
want
and
to?
blessed.
What else do we want to add here? I think it's important to say how the episode ends.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The whole conversation between Nina and Bunny was about this like idea of like Bunny's focus on like preservation and like preserving the history and culture of the building, and Nina's like modernization and like wanting to make it profitable and all that. That was like the big conflict.
Yes.
Yep.
And them throwing a retirement party for someone who doesn't actually want to retire was just like, just ouch.
It doesn't really seem to love people.
Yeah.
And the episode ends with Bunny watching TV by herself with the parrot. The parrot picks up on a line from the piece she's watching of like, I know who did it. So that's where the parrot learned how to say that. And then a mysterious person we only see the shadow of comes to the door, and Bunny's like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. And then she is.
There's also reference to a mysterious friend.
Yeah.
And
But not a friend.
But not a friend. And then there's a phone call about that was Southern friend, everyone's friend. That's
Yeah.
like human. And there was conflict about the painting. Somebody called about
Yes.
the painting, which I still don't see the appeal. But
Which we do have the painting on screen, and I'm realizing it's not. Usually we have a little sticky note over it. So I'm going to just go ahead and.
Not visible enough. I think
one of
pretty
my favorite documentaries of the moment is The Lost Leonardo, about the Salvatore Mundi that was probably forged. And there's an art critic and art scholar that teaches at a school in New York that's in the documentary. And they go to all the talking heads about how important this painting is, right? And people are like, well, everyone just wanted to believe it could be a Leonardo. But look at the lips. It's clearly a Leonardo. And this poor guy just goes, it's not even a good painting. And every time I see that painting, that is all I can think of. It's not even a good painting.
I feel like if it was a good painting, it would make the show worse. Like this whole thing needed to revolve around a bad painting for any of it to sell. For me personally. So first things first, now that we're all caught up on what happened this episode, we have to name our suspect of the week. Last week, it was Mr. Timothy Chalamet. We can't have the same primary suspect every week. Who would we be? But I will say...
Good investigators?
We'd be building a strong case?
That's not what we're here to do. We're here to do commentary. We're not here to figure out... Well, maybe Alexis is. Maybe I'm just here for the chaos. To be fair, I'm
right there with you. Chaos.
Chaos? Good. So we're half and half.
Alexis, not only we have the show board, Alexis has her own murder board for this show. She's gonna solve it.
And when I was asked what to include on our evidence board, I drafted an actual evidence board, and that is not what was copied onto this show.
We don't have enough time, Alexis, unless you want to do a 12-hour live.
Like, first location, secondary locations, money, this, and they're like, but who didn't like Bunny? Okay, sure.
How much can we really talk about in 45 minutes? Is how we're trying to figure out this murder, which I wonder how far off that is from people that actually solve murders that don't have a ton of time on their hands. Maybe they also do it in 45-minute sprints once a week, where Timothy Chalamet is the lead suspect because of one throwaway sentence. But I do want to say I think I'm a good investigator if our criteria is having the same suspect, because this week we learned that Bunny has someone who is not a friend who she eats with at a diner in New York City. And the diner that we see is the same diner that this guy works at. So
that's
actually
not true.
You know what?
I told you this. It's not true.
It's not true. I thought it was.
No, in the flashback in episode 2, it's the same diner.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so all my point still stands. I think Andrew Garfield did it.
That's not Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, I know. I changed my mind right now. Live.
Okay, great.
I think Andrew Garfield did it. And he's here, and he's gently holding my head in place for the remainder of the show. And I'm gonna put him on the board. Andrew, you did it. This specific photo of you did it. That's all I have to say about that. But that's not our suspect of the week. That's just me being loud. Sly, the floor is yours.
Our suspect of the week is the one and only. Oops, I made a new note. Jeremy Lin.
I feel like we need a sound effect here. Alexis, do you have anything?
Dun, 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 dun.
Thank you. That was really good. Sly, why is Jeremy Lin our suspect of the week?
Well, okay. The Knicks aren't doing too hot, right? And that's not new. But, Jeremy Lin had this big, huge, the Linsanity moment. And then he comes to the Knicks. And, what's he really doing there? Anyways, but yeah, we had 2 Knicks references this episode. And one of them was specifically about Jeremy Lin. So he's our suspect this week. Jeremy Lin is a basketball player, as you can see on our little picture for our suspect.
He is. And I think did he used to play for the Toronto Raptors? Am I lying? Let me look it up.
I don't want to say yes or no before I confirm.
I don't know, but I believe it.
Played for the Golden State Warriors. No, I'm lying. He never played for.
Yes. He played for the Raptors.
He did? Yeah, he did. He did play. He did play for. So there's another Canadian reference.
But I could not 100%.
Just in 2019. It wasn't for very long. Yeah, it wasn't for very long, but he did. So I like a Canadian reference. Jeremy Lin, you're our suspect of the week, bud. Anyone have any further evidence they'd like to throw against Jeremy?
No.
So in the rare circumstance that it is not Jeremy Lin, and we should explore other options, I'd like to throw it next to Alexis. Alexis, what are you feeling after this episode in terms of who you think could have done this?
Well, I had two gut feelings, and they were both completely unhinged. The first was that I still think it's Howard and the cat. I think Howard is taking minutes at all of these board meetings, but I think secretly on the inside, he wants to be the board president. And so when things got conflicty, he was willing to throw the whole thing and take everybody out to become the board president. And the cat was really mad at the bird. My second unhinged notion was that maybe it was the bird. And then I realized that the bird doesn't have posable thumbs, so it couldn't be the bird. But there was a moment where I was like, did the bird kill Bucky?
There also is the shadow of what appears to be a human.
Yeah.
So it would be very shocking if that was the bird. I would like to see it actually.
Maybe the bird in like a human suit.
Yeah. like a ratatouille, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want it to be Sting, but I don't think it's Sting. But I want that to be the reveal. I want Sting to have like moved out at the beginning and like come back.
I really enjoyed a piece of Sting lore that we got from this episode, which is that he had really bad interior design taste.
Mm-hmm.
There was some really shady commentary from the council about how Sting's apartment was like stuck in the 90s or like wasn't very like well designed, and that Amy Schumer
Z Gallery in the 90s, which is like even worse than the 90s.
And then the following commentary was that Amy Schumer should not have to abide by building code to like just fix it because that's how bad it was. I'm like, that's a really fun piece of lore that we now get to live with.
I want that apartment to be inhabited by a different random famous person like every season. So I think Timothy Chalamet would be a good pitch for season 3 to take.
That I'm actually okay with. That actually I would 100% take.
Yeah. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda would be another good option for the apartment, but
I'd like to see him in the dynamic of the show where like everyone's got an ulterior motive. Like what motive would they give him? I feel like he has many. I'm suspicious of the man.
I need that as a sound. I am suspicious of the man. It sounded like you had a monocle. Like that's the sound.
That's exactly what I was like had in my head. So thank you for like knowing me so well.
You're welcome.
And we'll see how well Alexis knows me later in the show. That's a plug for a surprise segment y'all don't know is coming.
Ding, 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 ding.
Marissa, why do you think Timothy Chalamet should be on season 3?
Because he's just like an Upper West Side lore, like mythical figure.
It's true. It's true. He does have
He's
a
just
lot
like
of mythology around him. Yep. And yet I spent 7 days in the city and he was also in the city and I was only 1 degree of separation from him, or 2. I don't know how that works. The man stays a myth.
Yeah.
Is he even real? I don't know. I've never seen him in the flesh. Have you ever been in the same room as Timothy Chalamet?
No. Don't we know people who have met him though?
Do we?
Or have they?
Oh, there it is, folks. Okay, now I need to shut the fuck up about Timothy Chalamet. What else are we going to talk about with this? We have no talking points in the show doc, just a lot of notes. So I'm just going to open the floor.
I would like to add to our people who want to hurt Bunny, Howard, because that party was mean, and I feel like it was emotionally damaging.
Yes.
So I'm putting him under people who want to hurt Bunny.
Thank you.
This goes back to a core message or philosophy that I live my life by, which is that surprise parties should not happen because you don't know the boundaries of people. You don't know the boundaries of people. And unless someone has explicitly stated, I want you to throw me a surprise party, You should not throw them a surprise party.
Yeah.
Like, if you can still surprise someone. If someone tells you, I want to be surprised, you can surprise them many ways. There's a way to surprise people and have it set as an expectation, or like have it just set into the world. But like, no, don't be doing that to people. It's you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, having a party like thrust upon you with the expectation of like have fun immediately is very stressful.
And you don't know the social batteries of people. Are introverts,
Yes.
neurodivergent people, like that have to manage their emotional output throughout the day in order to do a party like that.
Yes.
I'm boo surprise parties. But I will give them points for having a good aesthetic. Okay, those cookies were the exact same color as their banner, and that's the level of detail that I commit to when I throw events. So I do respect that there was a clear effort put into like a matching core aesthetic that matched the Arconia. That felt very tasteful.
Intern of
wasn't-
the week award for that.
It was an unfortunately well-themed event.
I was just about to say much like this show, but then I didn't want to say that. But then I was like, that's too good of a thought. Maybe I should say it out loud.
And then you just explained it instead of
Yeah,
saying
I didn't want it to be like a self-burn to our show because I love our show, but then the thought was too intrusive not to say out loud. So, what else? Sly, do you have another point? Hopefully, to transition out of this.
Do we have any new evidence this week? What's going on? The gloved hand was basically all we got about, and the killer's shadow was like
their
vaguely
shoes?
the same
Yeah,
height as
there's a-
Bunny.
like a work shoe.
Work shoe. Almost looked like a
Work
cute Oxford shoe, but not quite. As in, I say for a brief second, I was looking away from my phone, looked at the screen, and was like, "Is that an Oxford shoe? Like a cute Oxford shoe?" Thinking it was like a stylish person. Thinking it might have been Selena's art dealer.
My thing was that it definitely looked like a boot, but it gave me the vibe of like someone in clothes that they thought would make them appear to be more masculine. You know, like
This is
if like
that's a Kara.
yeah, like the boot was supposed to convince me to think that it was like some big workman when it's like a human like me in work boots and overalls. Not that I own.
To be fair, a human like you could take anybody out. Like, let's just make that clear. Like, I think you meant more like Liz in those clothes, who like absolutely could not if she tried. Not that I would try, just to be very clear. I'm saying I have no physical
Just be
stamina
clear for the
at all.
record. We got another pan to the grate, so I think the grate is going to continue to be important evidence-wise.
We got a lot of exposition about Nina's acupuncture, which I feel like has to come back at some point. That like whole conversation was about acupuncture, and it was like, why are we like
trying to
hitting
have
us over the
labor
head
in the lot too. I don't know why we're anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, I think like she's going to end up being a red herring character for sure. But like, I do think that the acupuncture or some sort of something along that line is going to come back eventually.
I feel like I was watching something recently and there was like, it was like acupuncture or like witch medicine, like it was like herbal medicine, and that's how they figured out that he was the one that did it, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was. But it's definitely a plot point in something I watched recently.
I wonder if they're gonna go to the acupuncturist and try and like extract info from her while Charles has like a bunch of acupuncture like needles in him or something.
Maybe.
I also feel like we can cross off any suspicion around Bunny's mother unless she hired someone. Because what we saw at the end of that sequence was like a very physical thing. And she like had a lot of moving scenes where she moved very slowly and like took a long time to move around. So there's no way that she could have been physical.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that this episode led me to believe that maybe there were multiple people who wanted to do harm to Bunny. Like, maybe if the twist is going to be that there were actually like 2 or 3 people.
Oh my God, everyone tried to take her out in the same night.
Yeah, like I was not convinced that the workman boot and the shadow of the person who unalived her were the same person.
That's interesting.
It also like brings back I've so many questions around the 2 weapons thing, and then how did she get from her apartment to Mabel's?
Yeah, like the sequence didn't really finish, did it?
Yeah. Like she opens the door to her apartment, and if like somehow she gets into Mabel's, and not like I highly doubt post stab she crawled through the grate.
I think it's gonna be a thing like last season where the like voiceovers were like the clues to tie into like being information that was actually on the podcast. I feel like that like sequence, like we keep seeing more and more of it. I have a feeling that they like they made the whole sequence and are just giving us like crumbs every episode. So I think we're gonna see more from
or maybe pieces will be wrong. Like maybe they'll be like, oh wait, and then they'll like show us the scene but something's different to like really throw us off. That could be cool. I think
we
don't
have all the information, but that's the point.
And someone was like, I saw this conversation online a lot this week about like how like people complain they don't have all the information at the start of TV shows, but like that's the point of TV shows is you find it all out over time. So like sometimes commentary isn't fair, and like commentary is like not great because people expect too much right off the bat. And like I feel like all of that can be true at once.
Yeah,
I feel like all that can be true at once. And this is a show that I think does a really good job of giving a lot right away. To like it's like they feed your hunger and then give you a different hunger to wait for. It's not like they semi-feed the hunger you were left with and make you feel not full. Does that make sense?
Well, they set it up so you think you have all the information or you think you know the answer, and in 2 weeks they're gonna be like, just kidding, none of that actually matters, and that person is definitely not related anyway whatsoever.
You know,
which is fun.
You know who we didn't see this week in terms of what we're setting up for later? This bitch.
I know. I was so sad.
Alexis traumatized by the Cara Delevingne erasure.
But Alexis's description really of the boots really sounds like an outfit she would wear.
Right.
Do we want to add her to something? Is there a place for her here?
I don't know.
I mean, I think her face should just go on the board so we can look at it.
She's very sketchy. I think there's some sort of, I know you all talked about it last week, but there's some sort of manipulation with Mabel happening of like using her for exposure and whatever. So like I do feel like in a weird like deep thinking too hard about it sort of way, she could have gone after Bunny for the painting and then also put her in Mabel's apartment for the like gotcha factor of like headlines, and then that's giving her a lot of credit though, and I don't know that this is a show with characters that are that smart.
See, my thought was, and this is unhinged, accept it as being unhinged, but
Amazing.
My thought was maybe that she's related to someone
I had the
involved
same
in the story. And so when Mabel posts the picture of the mural, she realizes, oh, this person I'm related to is living in the Arconia. I need to make some connection there to get what I want.
I had a thought, if this whole thing with Charles's father and the woman and like they were sleeping together, right? Weren't they or something? Like, could that be a connection down of like that, like Cara Delevingne's character is like a child or something and she's trying to get revenge or like, because it doesn't make sense to me that the setup of that is that he was like supposedly like sleeping around or whatever, if
Mhm.
that did not mean the family or something was then going to come in, because there's so many other like semi-comedic kind of tropes that they could have pulled in to fill like that story plot.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I also still stand with my thought that perhaps she is hired by Cindy Canning
Yeah.
and like they're in cahoots. But maybe Cindy Canning is the connection back to the sleeping around. Who's to say? Who's to
Yeah.
say? Lots of conspiracy. I love it. We have a lot to talk about with Miss Marvel, and we have a fun game to play. So, how would we like to end our suspect boarding for this episode of Only Murders?
I just want Marissa to have a suspect on the board.
It's true.
I don't have a good answer. I want to say Oscar because I just want him back, but I don't think he's actually capable of this violence.
I'll put
I
him
really
down.
want him back.
I mean, mine is
And I
Timothy Chalamet, and I'll tell you exactly why. Is because I wanted my suspect this week to be whoever Bunny had lunch or whatever with at the
Mhm.
diner the day previous, and Liz said, "What if it was Timothy Chalamet?" And I said, "Sure."
Yep. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Put Timothy down for both of us, because I like a 2 for 2 Timothy week for me. I'm going to see if I can justify Timothy Chalamet every week until the end of the season. So I want a straight line of Timothy on the board.
I have absolutely no justification for why it should be Oscar. He has no motivation to hurt Bunny. Really, I don't think. But I just want him back, and I don't like that they just sort of like tossed him away with one line.
Mhm.
Like, oh, we're not going to get over our trauma and go be like, oh, why? You were so happy. You were so happy.
Say it again.
You were so happy.
Add like 10% more.
You were so happy.
There it is. Felt very drama school there for a moment.
You
I
had
was like, I can
dinner
feel
at her
more.
mom's house.
Oh, a very interesting point has come up in the chat. Sorry, Alexis, your face is getting covered for a second. Marissa, as our chief Ariana DeBose fan,
Yeah.
CAD, if you will, also the initial of Canada. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think like a stabby person would be a nice twist for her. She tends to play slightly more wholesome. So like a scary Ariana would be really fun.
Yep. If
Definitely.
not, consider her for season 3, please.
Yeah.
She should come in. Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, go take it.
I think we might have the same thought, so you say it.
You first.
I think that she needs to come in this season as the real girlfriend / co-conspirator of Cara Delevingne.
That would be good.
Mhm.
That would be good. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Scripting it now.
It's done. It's already, listen, they're going to call me up and be like, stop revealing the show plot points on your show. Sly, is that the direction you were going in?
I was like, have her be like the head of the art collective or whatever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's in the circle.
Same vein. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Claw gets the credit for that one. Let it be known from the chat. Ariana DeBose, I love it. Okay, shall we leave the board as is? Are we feeling confident in our board updates for this week?
Yeah, because
there's
there's no answer.
My last question is, do we have any new characters to add? I don't feel like we met.
We
anybody
had
new.
the board members that we've seen before, but not like they were the only faces that I felt were like not familiar in terms of like seeing them in the show.
The waiter is
waiter,
new.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Ivan that she gives her money to.
Oh, yes.
Who wants to be a DJ? She said, go buy your DJ equipment, but don't fall in love with one thing, or else you'll have nothing someday. This is very ambiguous.
This entire episode, Bunny reminded me of, you know, that the what's the character on Monsters Inc. That's like really annoying the whole time. Yeah.
Your paperwork.
Well,
was
yeah,
nasty.
yeah, that one. Thank you. Thank you
What
for
is
that.
her
one.
name?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Jack, what's
We
the
have
receptionist
Ivan, the
name and
DJ
monster's
waiter.
Yep. Oh, to our you're down
name?
here.
Roz. Jack says her name is Roz.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. Does Jack want to throw a suspect onto the suspect board?
Jack, do you have a suspect for who killed Bunny?
Ben Solo.
He said Ben Solo.
Ben Solo. That's good. Okay. Shall we should do I can re-edit the board.
Not
Yeah.
Kylo Ren. Ben Solo.
Ben Solo. Yeah.
That was the thing that pushed him over to the dark side.
Did y'all hear that?
Incredible. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Incredible.
Brother Bobissa say Ariana DeBose.
Brother Bobissa is now
I'm
like
so excited that's catching
canon.
on.
Yeah, truly. Brother Bobissa. I really want Jack to go rebrand himself across the internet.
I don't think he
Please.
wants to be tied to me that way.
No, it can just be like a side hustle.
Yeah.
Side
like,
hustle
yeah.
online.
Oh yeah. He can make like a
can just-
Stan account just for me.
But
And stitch all of your videos derogatorily. That's what I
Yeah.
want. Like,
That's what it would be.
Brother Bobissa also implies the existence of Mother Bobissa and Father
Mother
Bobissa.
Bobissa.
Cousin Bobissas, Uncle Bobissas, Aunt Bobissas, Wife Bobissa.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a good ring to it. I'll have to workshop that.
Yeah. I don't think we figured that one out yet.
Miss
bro-
Missa Bobissa? You could be the Mrs.
Mrs. Bobissa. Oh my god.
Good.
That's good. That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's incredible. It's also an incredible transition.
It is.
To our game that we want to play. Let me scroll down and find it. Sly, would you like to introduce this next segment of the show?
Sure. So we were trying to like brainstorm games we want to play as our like transition segment, and we're all married here, so we're gonna do a twist
I mean,
on the newlyweds game. So
Canonically, legally, in the eyes of God, we are married.
And God being Taika Waititi. If you saw our Instagram story poll earlier tonight.
but I will say we're all married had like a Sly and the Sister Wives vibe happening, and I want to be clear that that's not what's going on.
No, there are two separate couples on your screen. Top row and bottom row.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna team up with our spousal partner. We all have prepared questions about us that we're going to pose to the group. And how it's gonna work is our partner, when we pose a question, is gonna like write down their answer or whatever, hold their answer, and the other two is going to debate until they come to a conclusion to answer the question. If the other pair gets the answer correctly, they get a point to their team. And then if your spouse gets it correct, you get 2 points to your team. Do we all follow?
I'm starting a very poorly made board on our suspect board where we can keep track of points.
I have a note card.
You have great. You're
so I can
12
keep track
steps
of it.
ahead of me. I love it.
I am.
We should let the chat know. Come back if you didn't want spoilers, friends. XO. All right. Hopefully, people make their way back knowing we are done that segment. I'm also going to toss a banner up for every question. So when you say your question, give me a second to type it, and it'll come up on screen. Do we want to put a timer on this?
I don't think we need to.
All right.
Hopefully, they should be,
It'll be
easy.
quick.
Okay.
All
Who's starting
of
our
you
game?
have more faith in this than I do.
Alexis is like,
right,
in 1 year, I've retained no information about any of you.
Freaking the fuck out. Okay.
I'll like kick it off so we can like get a feel for how this will go through. So my first question is, how many tattoos do I currently have?
You have to write it down, Alexis.
And if you're watching, please comment what you think the answer is to help all of us. Okay. Alexis.
Mhm.
Alexis is holding her answer. You and Marissa have to come to
You
a
and Marissa have
consensus.
to chat
Okay.
about it.
Hold on 1 second, please.
It's either 0 or 2.
No,
and
it's
I
not
can't
0. It's not
explain-
0.
I don't
Sly's
think
got
it is
some on
either.
their wrist. I think Sly might have one on the back of their neck, but I also feel like I'm not confident in that. I think 3.
I think it's 2 or 3.
I think it's 3. I think I know 2, and I'm forgetting 1.
Is that your final
also-
answer?
I also would love to be completely wrong and have Sly be like, why do you think I have a tattoo on the back of my neck? I have no answer if I am wrong. It's just a fact that I think I might have made up about you.
I feel like I've heard them talk about tattoos a lot, but I don't feel like I've ever actually seen any of them.
I have. I can confirm I have. Sly showed me one day when it was just the two of us, either before or after a show. Because I was like, what is that? And it's like watercolor. There's got color on it.
Oh, I have seen that one.
Thank you.
Whatever you say.
I think 3.
Okay. Liz and Marissa's answer is 3. Alexis, do you have an answer?
Yeah, but it's apparently wrong.
Wait.
I watched her write it down. I know what it is.
The chat says 3 and 2.
This is how many you have, right? Not how many you want. How many you have.
Uh-huh.
That was the okay.
Correct.
I
Because you know
didn't-
all of the ones I want.
I didn't think you had any. Have I missed a tattoo all this time?
Liz is incorrect. I do not have a tattoo on my neck. But
Oh.
Leah is correct. I do have 2.
I said 2!
No, I didn't think you had any.
Point to
The
Leah in
watercolor.
the chat.
And then
I
I
knew.
have the stars.
The Harry Potter stars.
So this one was a stick and poke I got from my ex in their bedroom impulsively one night, and I still love it,
Nice.
and it's fine.
Yeah.
And then this was my first one. It's
Mhm.
very complicated,
Yeah, I've
and we
seen
can
that
do
one.
a deep dive later. But yes. So no points going to any members
No,
of
point going to
my
the chat.
Well, that's just proof that Liz listened to me.
Okay. Okay.
Speaking of Liz listening to Marissa, what's your first question?
Okay. What is my favorite Sesame Street character?
Oh,
We
I-
talked about
I'm
this
so
so
confident.
recently.
Was it a show I was on? Was it in the chat? Where did we talk about this?
In the group chat.
Hold on. I'm just putting it up as a banner on the screen. What is favorite Sesame Street character?
Well, Bunky's
And hold on.
Bunky made themselves known for the Sesame Street question.
Okay, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm not looking at the chat, and I'm gonna write my answer. Oh, I remember we had this conversation because I was very excited to talk about
We
my
just
favorite.
had this conversation.
I
I
know.
know you know this answer.
As per usual, I was too busy being excited about what I wanted to say to remember what anyone else said. Oops. Oh, I think I might know. Got it.
Okay, I thought I knew, and then now Liz has me questioning. But
I knew of
Alexis.
2.
it's
'Cause-
so it's either Count Dracula or the Cookie Monster. Were
No,
those
it's
the
Count
2
or
that were
Big
mentioned
Bird.
for Marissa?
Because
Count or Big Bird?
Jack
I'm pretty
was
sure
an
it's
Elmo person, and I thought Missa said I was more
Yes.
of a Count or Big Bird person because I love
Okay,
the Count.
I'm pretty sure it was Count. That was the immediately popped into my head. So I think our final answer is the Count.
The chat saying, Rainier Bert. Elmo was thrown in there.
We're getting the full cast. Wow.
The full cast. Can we please get Brother Mobissa on screen to reveal what he thinks your favorite Sesame Street character is, or he can yell it from the distance?
Jack, who do you think my favorite Sesame Street character is?
Ernie.
He said Ernie.
He said
which is
Ernie?
Wrong.
Like
I do
Funky?
not remember Bert or
Ernie
Ernie
Stan.
entering the conversation because I had a lot of jokes
maybe,
about Liz and Marissa's
the Count's
relationship.
very gay.
Say it again.
I said the Count because the Count's very gay.
Right?
I said it.
It's the count.
I said the Count.
Tape and he I don't know. It is so slow and dramatic and everything he says. The Count always
He's walking over here. He's unplugging and walking over.
Take the mic,
I
Jack.
like to pick this up. This makes me feel important. The Count would always piss me off as a
unplug your
child because
headset.
he's so
Unplug your
dramatic.
headset.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
They want you to hear them.
Oh, okay. It's so dramatic, right? Because we could all count faster than him, and he knew that, but he liked the attention, right? It was like an all eyes on me kind of situation. It's like one, he didn't have to laugh in between, but he knew you would fucking wait, so he did it anyways. And that's just kind of the dramatic energy I feel like you would resonate with.
I think it set the tone for Marissa's life,
Yeah, you're
actually.
welcome.
That is a completely different interpretation of
Oh,
who the
Alexis,
Count is
thank
than I have
you.
ever had in my life.
Hold on. That didn't
My whole life, I felt like he was just like a musician. Because he was always
He's
with
a
that
poor
organ.
baby with obsessive compulsive disorder. What are you all talking about?
Who?
The Count.
Oh. Yes, my favorite Sesame Street character is the Count.
Okay.
That was correct.
3
'Cause you were
points on
too
the board.
intellectual
Look at
for
us
Elmo.
go.
I remember because I was
Yeah, that is
offended
what
on
I-
Elmo's behalf.
Yeah, I'm not an Elmo girly at all, no.
So I do want to say that I do remember you saying this because I love Cookie Monster. I love Cookie Monster, but I forget how much I love the Count. Like I never think of the Count when I think of Sesame Street because I think of like the main people. But like I ate up the Count as a kid too. I freaking loved like that was my jam. That was like put it on. I'm in it. So yes.
I love the Count and I love Julia. Julia is my favorite.
That's a cutie too.
Yep. None of the chat guess the Count. Now
Alright.
you know.
He's a sleeper hit.
Alexis, your question.
I feel like Alexis misunderstood the game because I feel like everyone knows the answer to this question. So I feel silly.
Watch
Say
me
it
not
anyway.
know it at all. I'm sure
Alexis
I
is
won't.
going to be like, what is this very hyper specific thing
No,
that I know
it's
I mentioned
not.
on February 14th?
It's not. Mine was which member of another show Sly is involved in was I incredibly intimidated by?
Oh.
That's a
I
great
do
question.
know that answer.
I feel like there's 10 answers to this, though.
No,
No, it's just one.
it's just one.
I don't know their full name.
No, Sly,
That's
Sly, did
fine.
you write it down?
I wrote it down, yeah.
Oh, you got it.
I immediately knew.
Marissa, I'm going to go fully with whatever you think.
It's Mario from MC University.
It is that Mario Rivera.
Oh.
Also, I forget sometimes that Mario and Marissa are not the same exact person. Because like there's a lot of similarities there, right? It's like half Italian in Chicago, lots going on. And Marissa made a comment one time about not being able to play Selena Gomez, and I was like, I forget you and Mario aren't the same person because Mario is half Mexican, half Italian. Fun fact. But yeah.
Shout out to
Mario.
Mario.
Italian.
Got the big old plug on the
My
show.
Fave.
Other
Recently, I discovered that Mario and I have the same taste in both cats and humans, which kind of
Mhm.
bridged that gap.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
crossing a bridge. That's so great. I do want to say that when you said this question, I thought you meant fictional character on a show that you and Sly only watch. And I was like, that's really
Oh.
mean. That's really mean.
Oh, that would have been a good one.
I'm like, how would we guess that? But then so my mind went to leverage immediately. I'm like, well, it has to be a leverage person. But then you said Mario, and I was like, Super Mario? What? So I just feel like I was like not even on the same train or like not even in the same boat. I was like on a completely different kind of
Oh, man.
transportation.
I should have made my question, which leverage character did I feel insanely called out by?
Bonus
I
point.
know.
That would
Bonus
have been
point.
a great one.
I also had a leverage question, but I felt like it was unfair. So we can do both our leverage questions as bonuses.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, here's
All right,
my question.
Liz.
I'm just typing it first to be dramatic. You ready, Marissa?
Yeah.
What is my exact McDonald's order? And if you can say it in the same order that I would order it in, I think you get a bonus point.
Oh God.
Because
Does
I
this
know
include-
my partner's in the other room, and he could say he could say it in his sleep.
Does this include the all day, or is this just like
I did not make that distinction. And I also cannot give you a hint because it would give away the entire thing. But I think based on that, I would actually accept two answers. Oh, it's a similar answer with a slight
Because it's-
distinction.
two different things, but the same?
is it?
Basically.
I'm gonna offer a smidge of flexibility, and I'll explain at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the chat's like, "Wait, I know this one." This really tells me a lot because I thought this was going to be hard.
It's hard for me. There are two things I remember that you talk about often in reference to McDonald's.
It's her silly.
I don't feel fully
cheat.
confident with this, but I think I got at least part of it right.
Alexis, what's your
Wait.
theory that you're starting here?
I remember you talking about the baby chickens, the little chickens, the tiny chickens that we don't have in America. Little chickens,
the
Chicken
junior
Little.
chickens.
Junior chickens. There we go, junior chickens.
I was like,
And-
what baby chicken than the junior chickens? Yes.
Junior chicken and French fries because I was surprised that you ate them, and iced coffee. But that's all I've got.
That was my two. Was the iced coffee and a large fry. Felt like were the two things.
So
That's
What are you locking
that's
in?
all I remember.
What are you locking in?
I know you eat the chicken juniors. I don't know if it's in your
The junior chickens.
The junior
The
chicken.
junior chickens. I just want you to know, if you went to McDonald's and you asked for a chicken junior, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Because that's how specific it is.
But I don't know if it's in your typical order or not.
I think we're locking in iced coffee and fries.
Okay.
Are you locking in iced
Yeah.
coffee and fries?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Marissa?
wrote an iced coffee, dollar drink, 2 hash browns, or a large fry.
A woman after my own heart. That is it. Yes. And the distinction is 2 hash browns if they're not doing fries yet, because they don't do fries from like 5
That's why I
a.m.
had to ask
11.
the clarifying question.
I am
Yeah.
so
Because it's
impressed
one
by
type
you
of
right
fried
now, Marissa.
potato.
I am going to say though that the exact order is always the large vanilla iced coffee first because it's available all day. So I say that, and then I look at the time and figure out: am I getting hash browns or am I getting French fries? So when Sly had the correct order, I was like, "Oh, they're going to get the bonus point." But did anyone say vanilla iced coffee? That's
Nobody
important.
said vanilla.
I knew that
That's
there was
important.
something, but I didn't know what the specific thing was.
I'm gonna ding a half a point from all of us, so you guys are gonna
But-
get
but
1.5.
Marissa did get
and
the
we're
full
gonna get
24.
0.5.
Marissa did get the full 24 hours. in.
Usually,
So I
I
think
am
Marissa evens out.
I am usually afraid that you all are
Okay,
getting a
fine.
divorce, but this game has changed my mind.
I
I
will
will
give
say,
Marissa
though,
the full 2 points.
Thank
There's
you very
an
much.
episode of Lone Star where Rob Lowe knows more about his ex-wife now that they're divorced than he did when they were married, and that is the vibe I am getting right now.
That's not wrong. I do want to commend Alexis because pre-being diagnosed as celiac, my order would have been a junior chicken and a fry and an iced coffee. So like you and I did talk about it a lot on
I'm
the show.
adding
so
a 0.5 back to us for
Mhm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
We
I'm
talked
giving
about
us
it
the full one.
on
Yep.
the Taylor Swift show because
Yep.
one of your friends called you out in the comments
Yes.
when you were talking about something.
Yep. And I do remember that because she also followed it up with a text message. Yep. And I want to commend the chat as well because there was a lot of lore that the chat did identify as correct. Claw remembering. You can
Yep.
always find French fries on the floor of my car. I do want to say, after that episode, I went to McDonald's the next day with one of my friends that came to New York, who is on TikTok, Hannah Jane _. She does fashion content. She's great if you want to follow her. She looks like Sadie Sink if you're into Stranger Things. She literally looks
She
exactly
really
like her.
does.
Scarily she does in person. We were like, oh God, yeah, exact. Anyway, and we were in the car, and I was like, on the show last night, people were surprised that there are French fries on the floor of my car. And she was like, why? And I was like, exactly. Thank you. You just validated the entire thing. So please know my in real life friends agree with all of that. And Claw also called out that it was the Harry's House episode that lore was discussed within. I also brought up Junior Chickens that episode as well. So a point to the chat.
I think Baby Chickens is a better title.
I agree. I'm fully with you. It's just I'm so pleased that that's how you remember it in your brain. It's beautiful. It's art. Oh, that's funny. Shall we do a rapid round for bonus points?
We did, yeah, we all did one question so far. Do we want to?
Let's do a rapid
Do
round.
our second
Rapid
round?
round.
Okay.
Yeah. First thought
Okay.
that comes to your mind. Sly.
So my second one is, I know I've talked about this on Point in Progress a million times, but I haven't mentioned it here. So what video game is how I met all of my friends my freshman year of college? It's a walking simulator. We played it over the course of 5 days. It was episodic. So it's an episodic walking simulator video game that was how I met legitimately all of my friends throughout my college career. What is the title?
Pokemon Go.
But Sly said they played all of the
That's not
game
an
in 5
episodic.
days. And it's not episodic, but it is a walking.
That's the only walking game I know.
Let's lock it in. Let's lock it in. Pokemon Go. Alexis?
No, I feel like I have this one wrong too, because I remember the story and I remember that it was described to me as a Sims / butterfly effect game.
Uh-huh.
But I
Yeah.
can't
I
remember.
have heard this.
I can't remember if it was Firewatch or Tales from the Border, or if it was either of those. But I know those were mentioned in the conversation we had.
So that group of friends did play Firewatch second,
Okay.
and then Tales for the Borderlands later. So those were games, but that wasn't the game that shaped.
Because it was Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
It was not Pokemon Go.
Dang.
I thought these questions. I choose bad questions, but the game is. Sorry, my brain just short circuited. Give me a second.
No, it's okay. I do want to just say, I did name one of your tattoos verbatim when we were debating your first question.
did.
So I think I deserve credit for knowing exactly it was a
And
wrist
in my defense,
watercolor.
I've never retained a single piece of information about a video game ever.
Thank
So-
you.
Sly.
The game is Life is Strange, the first one.
I knew that.
See, we're never gonna forget that
Yeah.
now, and we can. Yep. Life is
I've heard the
strange.
full story.
Sorry,
Uh-huh.
I feel bad about
And
that.
every time we saw a deer from then on, the rest of the time all of us were at college, every time we saw deer on campus, we would go, Rachel? Because Rachel's a character who turns into a deer in that game.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're
So
never gonna forget
life is
that now.
strange.
No.
Marissa, your rapid fire question.
What's the first concert I ever went to?
Oh, I know we talked about this.
If
Have an
Liz gets
answer.
this wrong,
I am gonna get it wrong, but I feel confident.
she doesn't remember. This was a long time ago that Liz
Got
would have
it.
known this answer.
I have literally no idea. I've got nothing.
I have two answers.
I have crickets. But I did really good on the Sesame Street one. Everyone should remember that.
Yes. You knew that immediately. It's rapid fire. It's rapid fire.
I got it. Okay, you two, what do you think it is?
I legitimately have no idea. I remember the conversation because I mentioned my first concert.
I have no idea. I got nothing.
I got nothing. I'm sorry.
I said
I can't see it.
I said the Wiggles or Hillary Duff because
It
I
is
know we
the
all.
Wiggles.
Yes.
That is such a range.
At the
Wiggles to
Winter
Hillary
Arena
Duff
in
is a
Ontario.
moment.
Because
Wow.
I have a story of I've said a million times, I think, of how Hillary Duff came and played a concert in like this city. So
Yep.
for everyone that grew up here, like Hillary Duff was almost everyone's first concert. And I thought maybe in that conversation, Marissa would have said, well, she was my first concert.
Mhm.
That's why I couldn't remember if that
No,
was it or if it was the Wiggles.
Metamorphosis was like my first album, but
Oh,
never
okay.
in
I see. I knew
concert.
that was something.
yeah. My family knows me. My child Bucky also knows the Wiggles was my first concert.
We're so proud of you, sweet child. As your co-parents, we love. Okay, Alexis, your question.
I went back and forth on this question, and then I thought I had mentioned it. So we're going to go with it. And if I haven't mentioned it, I'm just sorry in advance.
Okay.
But what early 2000s Nickelodeon show / segment was I on?
Oh no.
Oh, man.
I feel like I don't know this because I don't think this is a fact I would forget. You were on Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
wait, wait, I know it. I think, or I'm very wrong. This is going to be mortifying.
No, I feel like it's the like. Didn't they have like the fact a day?
Oh no, wait, I'm confident I know this actually. Alexis, I think I'm going to be the most excited about this, aren't I?
I don't know.
I have no idea. I wasn't allowed to watch Nickelodeon.
Sly, do you have something?
You guys have to answer first, but no, I don't have something. I have zero thoughts in my brain.
What's your answer, Liz?
So I have a vivid memory about a conversation that I thought was a show that was like a fever dream to me. And I don't know if this is the show Alexis was on, but also it makes perfect sense in my mind if this was the show you were on. Fetch with Ruff Ruffman. Was that the show?
That's not a Nickelodeon show.
Fetchman, rough,
okay.
rough.
It was this crazy show. Kids would go on and compete. And I had a very niche conversation about it with someone where someone said they were on it. And it was someone that's from TikTok. But I don't remember who it was. And I've been trying to remember who it was. I can go back to that conversation because I had questions for them.
Not me.
And I was hoping it was
No.
you. No.
That's a PBS
Oh, it's
CBC
PBS.
show.
Thank you. Okay. Then I don't know.
And we were like
I
almost too old for
legitimately-
Ruff Ruffman, honestly.
You can never be too old for Ruff Ruffman. Take that back. I'm going to divorce you live.
She said show
I
/
got
segment, so it has to be one of those like
Ruff Ruffman
in
would have fit the
between
bill.
things that they did, but I can't remember what any of those are.
I also would like to say that our Nickelodeon shows were on a channel called YTV. So
Yeah.
the YTV segments were different in Canada because we had like Canadian in between show content.
Blame
not
Canada.
American. Can't blame Canada. Ugh.
Were you on the Kids' Choice Awards?
But that's
I have
closer.
no idea. Did you get slimed?
We have
I
not
was
talked.
on Slime Time Live.
Oh! I did know this. I knew all of this, and it just leaves my head.
Sly, did you get it?
No, absolutely. I didn't watch TV at that time.
Valid.
I have no concept.
Yeah.
No, just because I didn't watch like TV until I was much older.
Where did they slime you? Were you in LA or something?
No, I was in Florida. I got pied in the face and I got slimed.
Wow.
Is this something you traveled to do, or did you happen to be there?
No, we were at Universal and they came up and said that I looked really cute and would I come? They needed people to come
Did
do it,
used
and
to do
would we
that.
come do it? And I was like trying to do acting and stuff at the time, so my mom was like, "Yeah, sure, we'll come do it." And it was their Halloween special, and I had to wear burlap, like a burlap sack dress, and we got to tour like the Guts studio, and then I got to run the Hidden Temple course, like just for funsies.
Cool.
And then I got pied in the face and I got slimed.
Wow.
That's super fun. Is there evidence of this? I would like to
There's
see.
a VHS recording somewhere.
Go dig it up. I would like to see.
I can have my mom do that for you, Elizabeth.
All right, my rapid fire question, because we still have to talk about Miss Marvel. I think we might go overtime this episode,
I
but
have
like
to write an
that's
answer.
fine. Okay. I was going to ask what my favorite song on Harry's House was, but then I was trying to decide an answer and realized that I can't ask that question because even I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
So I revoke that. And instead I ask you my favorite Taylor Swift album.
Oh,
I don't know this, and I really know that
This
I should,
is-
but I don't. I know.
Might be
I
a
know
trick
this,
question.
and I don't know Taylor Swift.
I know.
This
we
might be
talked
a
about
trick
it.
question. I don't think it's a trick question, but I'm good.
Sly?
Legitimately, like all I know about Taylor Swift is that Liz is a Reputation stan,
Girly, yeah, she's a reputation girl.
right?
Marissa, what did you write down?
Reputation.
Yeah, I've never left my rep era, bitches.
I just
Why I love you.
there was a second where I was like, is it a trick question? And she's a Reputation era Swiftie.
Well, that was me.
but
I was like, you can
Folklore
be,
is her favorite
yeah,
album.
you can be stuck in your Reputation era and still like
That's
1989 or whatever. Yeah.
Very valid.
Yeah.
I love all of
No.
you so much. See, it kind of is a trick question because Folklore is also like I would say the two are my favorite, but Folklore is because it came out on my birthday, so like that's different. But like I'm a
Yes.
Reputation Swiftie. Yep. Hooray! Who won the game? It's my birthday month. I'll remind you of that.
Y'all won. It was 9-5.
Oh, Well, we should play again next week and see how we do next time. And I feel like next week you guys are going to like talk about this behind the scenes and then come in and be like, in leverage episode, this
I
is
feel
that.
like those
2.1.
two know so much about each other that we don't know about them. I feel like they should be using that to their advantage.
I tried to make it like general things that I know I've said.
No, you
on
were very
air.
kind. Yep.
Yes.
I tried so hard.
You did so. We're just like dumb. Sorry to everyone else on screen. Like we just did not remember the answers to your questions.
Seriously, just retain
Well,
information.
I do have one question that I wrote down that I thought was too hard.
Okay.
But I'm gonna
Oh,
use that
God.
as my question for next game. So
Okay.
Great.
Okay, bring it on. Bring it on. Okay. Let's talk Miss Marvel. Now, I think we're probably going to go a little bit over time. Anyone have a hard stop?
oh yeah. I'm
No.
good.
Sly's good to stay, but you did say, oh yeah, to my question of does anyone have a hard stop? Which made me want
No,
to be like,
you
have
said,
plans after
I
this?"
think we're gonna go over time, and I was
Oh,
said,
like,
oh yeah, we're definitely gonna go over time.
Marissa, do you need to jet since you are at the most magical place on earth?
No, I'm good. We're not going to the parks till tomorrow.
Right. Okay, perfect. If Jack wants to make another cameo, he's got bandwidth to do so.
He left. He crawled
left?
under the screen and
Oh.
just left.
It's like, bye. To go get a costume, probably, to come back in the room with.
Yeah, I don't know
So I
what he's
hope he'll bring
doing.
Mickey into the frame. Love. So, how many points did the chat get? Do we remember?
Oh god.
Bungie got 1, Leah got 1.
Claw
Those are
got
the only 2 I
one.
remember.
Bunky said reputation too.
Yeah.
Oh, Bungie got like 3.
Bunky knows their parents well.
Yep. Bunky got a handful. Bunky also did specify what were the gluten-free items. So like Bunky had a whole Alexis style conspiracy board happening of like baby chickens and French fries and coffee and
Bunky, I just meant like you were awarded points. That's what I meant.
listen, Bunky, you can never throw the mad emoji at Sly because Sly is your number one fan, first and foremost. Bunky is not Bunky. I was going to say Sly is a deaf queer person on the internet who loves Jane Austen and Bunky.
I was such a big Bunky fan, and these 3 know that I spent weeks agonizing over how to make Bunky be my friend. I was like, Bunky's so cool. I want to be my friend so badly. And I legitimately Bunky left a comment during one of our lives that was just like something like Sly ILY or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, Bunky noticed me.
The day that Sly and Bunky meet in person, we have to film it. It has to be like, you know, like the celebrity like surprise
For
videos,
real.
like Ashton Kutcher got punked. Like we have to do that. But Sly and Bunky.
Bunky is just legitimately the cooler version of me.
No.
I think you're both cool.
And I stand by that.
I don't.
You're
I think
equal
you're
cool.
both cool.
Equal cool. We have to talk about Miss Marvel.
We have to talk about Miss Marvel. Okay. First segment. A toast.
Speaking of
to-
cool things.
Speaking of cool things, with Bunky redoing the chat that started it all. Listen. That's all I gotta say about that.
I'm pretty sure I have it in a screenshot. While we're doing toasts, I'll pull up the screenshot of the image.
I will also say, to answer your question, Bunky, it was 2003, maybe 2002. I think it was 2003.
Oh, when you got slimed?
Yeah.
Amazing.
If you don't think that I'm about to Google the shit out of this and try and find the clip, when I was in New York, I should have gone to there's an archive of TV history, and they have archives of like all like the shows and stuff. I'm sure you're in the archive.
We'll go
I literally just messaged my mom about it, and she's like, I still have the VHS. So
Come on.
Convert it to digital. Convert it to digital. We'll do a watch
Mama
party.
reads comics. Come on, help us out here. We are begging, in fact. Bunky's already on it, like searching it. I'm obsessed.
I did, in fact,
Oh, there's us.
find
well,
the
there's
comment.
us.
You
Right.
can't see it, but
Oh,
it says
that's the screenshot.
retweet Sly ILI. You're also brilliant and amazing. This is the full
Yeah.
comment.
I love. A toast to Miss Marvel. This week I'm toasting with Powerade, as I was on set for like 15 hours yesterday.
So excited.
Toasting with
It
an
was.
almost empty water bottle.
Same season.
I am also almost empty. Every week
Oh,
we
not
do this,
too
I'm
long.
already out of beverage.
I have an almost empty water bottle. I'll toast with that, and then we're all
Yeah.
all right.
It's bad
Sly?
luck to toast with water, but it's fine.
Sly?
My toast this week is to generational healing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm toasting to the Bon Jovi groupie of the century, and an equally as moving toast, which is Mama Khan. I feel like she would love this show.
I am also toasting to Maniba Khan, Queen of Comedy. It's like spyware for parents.
Wait.
Why did no one tell me about this?
Yep.
Cheers to her.
If we wait. If we all put our our drinks in the corner, it looks like we're almost cheersing.
Oh,
Oh, other corner slide. Other corner slide.
internal.
There, Alexis, you got it.
You're mirrored. You're mirrored.
You're mirrored, Sly.
It's right on my screen, but okay.
Okay.
That's
Yay! There it is. Marissa, put your bottle over just a little
Why
closer
is
to
it
you.
mirrored on my confidence?
There.
monitor? I hate
Sly, come back. Wait. Sly,
There's-
come back. Wait, we're
Oh
gonna
my
take
god,
it.
we're wasting so
Okay,
much
Pose
time.
and then everyone take a screenshot. Okay, someone will get that and send it to us.
There's a
That'll help.
hilarious clip that I have from an episode where I wasn't on the show, where it looks like Marissa picked up her or put down her water bottle and Liz picks one up and it literally looks like you were like passing. I'll send it to you.
Oh, we got that opened the door to so many gags that we can now
Yeah,
develop.
It was so great. Yeah.
Great thought.
What's your toast, Alexis?
My toast is to the title cards because they were not in English this week and it made me really fucking happy.
Yes.
Yeah, it was cool.
Let's
Sunday.
just say off the bat, what a moving episode this was. And I feel like there's so much conversation around Miss Marvel, and we've been plugging every week the incredible creators that are putting so much time and emotional labor into sharing their stories, their history, and their feelings who are of this culture and these stories. Please go follow them. They have posted incredible content over the past week, and you can find even more creators via their comments who are also sharing and creating content around these stories. We are not the people to be commenting on the history that this show is being contextualized in and the stories of the families that have lived through this history and continue to live through this history and the trauma of such events. But we are Marvel fans and we have promised commentary around the show. So commentary we shall give through the lens of what else this episode provided and a little bit of what the history and the context does provide. With that said, our WTF moments of the week. Every week Marvel does a few things that leave us wondering how they could have possibly made this happen. I'm going to start with my comment, which was I wrote this down as a typo and then realized, nope, it's perfect. Bruno got burnt. And I think it's also important to know that I was typing a different comment and then heard and looked back at the screen and saw the whole thing blew up. Bruno got burnt. What? That's all I have to say.
Mine's in a similar vein. Mine just says the skeleton in all caps, and that is when people were trying to go through the veil and their skin came off, and then they were just a skeleton, and it was very like it had such Ghost Rider energy, like the 2007 movie, like where it's just like the skulls of their body or whatever. And I legitimately wrote in my notes when that happened, what the fuck?
What letter did you emphasize when you wrote that? Was it the K? Was it the U?
There's 4 U's in that.
Hard U. I like it.
It was the what the fuck? What's that?
I love it. I want to go to Alexis next because I want to use Marissa's as possibly a transition point into other conversations. So Alexis, please tell the people exactly what you wrote in the show doc and then proceed to explain.
Yeah. ...
Tesla. So okay, one of my favorite books of all time is a nonfiction book. It's called What is Real? It's by Adam Becker, and it's a look at the people who were involved in the creation and discovery of quantum physics and other physicsy things, right? And basically what he is positing is like that America / and the world are where they are at in scientific discovery, not because they followed some sort of linear fashion of like proposing hypotheses and answering questions, but because of all of the stuff that was going around, like on in world history, like Hitler, and also in these men and women, like in their personal lives, that more shaped the evolution of scientific advancement in the US than science really did, right? And he talks a lot in the book about Tesla, but I couldn't remember what he said. So like in episode like 1 or 2, I'm in the group chat like, what is it that I know about Nikola Tesla? Like, was he gay? Was he like the dude that married all the women in the cabin? Like, was he the guy that like stole the wife to come to the US? And Marissa, I meant it as a rhetorical question. Marissa went to Wikipedia and came back with, apparently he was a lifelong bachelor, which means he was gay. So the fact, and that did turn out to be what it was. That was what I was remembering. But the fact that it came back in this episode and Kamran was like, oh, you're a car guy. And Berto Bruno had to be like, oh, dude. That was my WTF moment of the week.
I want to add 2 points. One, if you don't know, Alexis does that frequently. What do I know about this? And the last time she did, this is point 2. She comes in the group chat last week and says, how do I know the Hellfire Club? Which, if you've watched Stranger Things, the Hellfire Club is the entire thing of season 4. So I'm like, it's Stranger Things, Alexis. It's literally everywhere right now. Like, that's where you've seen it. And Alexis is like, no, it's not that. And I'm like, no, it absolutely is that. Like, people are doing cosplay. They're making the logo. Like, it's everywhere. There's articles about it. And then you come back and you're like, oh, my brother got it. And what were you referencing?
That I was thinking of the Hellfire Gala from X-Men. But what is funny is when I asked my brother did a Google, and fun fact, the Hellfire Club is also a real life different type of establishment. And so he was very confused as to my current career path and my possible involvement in the Hellfire Club. Based on some things I had done in the past, he thought maybe like I had a second life involved in the Hellfire Club now. But yeah, so that was actually how that started. And then he was like, oh no, wait, it's X-Men.
I'm noticing
Alexis'
as the sun is
brother-
setting, it's getting weird places on my face. Sorry.
Sly, please continue your
Alexis's
thought.
brother is one of my favorite people. Just
Sly
the way
is
he texts. We've never had a conversation. But he said, so Alexis was talking about how she can never tell if people are actually like buff or not, and sent a picture of one of the actors on 911, and his response was because he is in fact like shredded AF or something along those lines. But the way he phrased it just cracks me up every time I think about it. I lose my mind. I go back to that screenshot all the time just to see his response.
He also recently met someone and he was trying to determine like the quality of person they were. So he asked them for characters they like in media. And they said, well, there are a couple men I like on 911 Lone Star. And my brother was like, wait! So what he says is, are Carlos and TK the real gays or the fake gays? Because he couldn't remember if they were on Lone Star or if Buck and Eddie were on Lone Star. So that was the question I got at like 2 a.m.
Alexis, can I share the screenshot?
Yeah. You can share, yeah.
Because I found it. Okay.
Yeah.
You can add it as an overlay. Oh, you have it.
I have it pulled up. That's probably because he is indeed shredded AF, sister.
I love the follow-up. Mans looks like he could bench a taxi cab.
So I got the full like original format of the message. We got it like retyped later, like paraphrased.
Sly has what's it called in research? Is that your primary source?
Yeah.
Sly got a primary source.
I keep trying to convince him that he wants to come do an episode of our show when Percy
Please.
Jackson comes out, because he has like an encyclopedic knowledge of Percy Jackson, and it led him
Yes.
to his studies of like ancient Greek and Roman like mythology. So like he speaks and reads Latin, knows all this stuff, and he's like, no, but I'll sit off camera and just feed you stuff to say.
Like,
that's fine. Yeah.
Like Jack, who's not here anymore.
Sly, do you have any siblings? I'm forgetting. I don't think you do. Do you?
Yeah.
You do.
I know the answer to this one.
Alexis says the answer. Alexis, go ahead and share your family history.
No, I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
I have 2 half siblings. The closest in age is 17 and a half years older than me. So I grew up like an only child, but I also have 2 siblings. Yes. So
feel
I
like
know I
me
have
too.
only child energy,
that.
but I do have siblings.
Marissa, did you
I
know
knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did know that. I could have told you that answer.
I feel like there's a Sly Marissa affair happening off.
I don't know what we're gonna debunk that in the post
Here's
show.
like weird energy
Marissa
happening.
and I are always the last 2 in this call post show. Like you 2 dip out
It's true.
because you have to be real adults, and then Marissa
Yeah.
and I stay and talk for an hour afterwards.
Okay,
But Liz and I are the first 2 in the group chat in the morning.
it's
Because
true.
you're
It's-
on earlier coasts and you have real people jobs that like you have to wake up at 7 a.m. for.
I was gonna say time zones are important here. It's not that I don't want to stay post show. It's that we talk until 2 a.m. my time usually, and I'm like by the end of it, like I gotta go. But for these guys, it's only like 10 p.m. so you can keep talking, or like
Exactly.
12 p.m.
Yeah.
So let's. And I have stayed on the phone with y'all till 4 or 5 in the morning. Like this is the fact. I just can't do it every single week, or else
Let
I would
it be
more of a
known.
mess.
Also, we tried to call Liz before the movie yesterday and after the movie yesterday. And I was like, well, it's like midnight for her, but she's definitely awake.
I say it with me.
Nope.
Was on set for 15 hours without my phone.
I know, but you should have been available
Yeah.
to us.
It's true.
Because
It's true. I should
you
have
knew what was
coordinated.
happening.
I know. I honestly should have. I
Dun,
honestly
dun,
should
dun.
have.
You need like a pager, like
Listen.
she can beep you.
There were moments where I wish I had had a little something like to phone or something if we were sitting or standing. But anyway, we will talk about that when that work appears someday in the far future. I want to tell you all about it, but I cannot. So we gotta stop.
Can I say my what the fuck moment of the week?
Yes.
Or are we moving on?
Yes, please say your what the fuck moment of the week.
Okay.
I
as-
forgot we were even talking about Miss Marvel, but like, yeah, that's fine. What did you think about the episode?
Liz forgot we were live for a minute.
Yeah, I was just like having fun.
Well, as the theme continues, my what the fuck moment of the week is again about Kamran. Kamran got powers. I'm
He did.
I'm so confused.
Me as well.
I feel like that needs to go on the soundboard.
There was like a
So
transfer of
confused.
power like across continents, like so like now I think he has Najma's powers, but I'm really not clear because Najma never really used powers before. So like where did power and like at least he has powers now, so like and it looks like in the comics sort of, I don't know, we haven't really seen that much of it. I just continue to be confused by Kamran as a character, but intrigued.
Is there something from the comics that we should know?
Well, yeah, there's a couple volumes of stuff from the comics that I would like you to know.
In relation to contextualizing this?
No, he in the comic is an Inhuman like Kamala, and his powers are sort of more like what Kamala's powers in the show are like.
Alexis,
Like he's
what is this like?
I
I
can't
know
tell if she's
genuine
mad at me or she loves me
semi-patronizing.
for knowing this.
It's like I feel about Marissa right now the way you all feel about me drinking coffee. That is where we're
That's such a good callback joke. Incredible work, Alexis.
This sun is really bothering me. Nope, that's not any better. Oh well.
There was a moment where I thought she had inhabited Kamran, and then there was a skeleton. So I felt like they were trying to let us know that had not happened, but my instinct was like...
I thought that until you just said there was only a moment you thought that. So now I'm feeling like I should stop thinking that's what happened.
Well, especially because his handshake was really awkward too. It was like and I was like, am I supposed to be picking up on? And he seemed a lot, this is going to sound bad. He seemed a lot dumber than he has previously, but then he made the Brian Bruno reference. So I was like, well, maybe then it must not be. I
don't know.
Sly, do you know?
I did not assume possession. But I'm glad you did.
I was like, I love that journey for you. And
I did not assume possession. Oh, perfect.
My thing with this entire episode is it went by so quickly for me. Like, it was great. I enjoyed it, but I feel like it was over at a flash. Like, it just felt like I watched it. I sat there and watched it. I took notes. I know things happened, but it just like I was just so hooked into it that I feel like I had zero thoughts about it. I just experienced it, which was great because that's not how I usually experience Marvel projects at all. Like,
I
Marvel does not usually captivate myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have a what the fuck moment of the week until I read my notes and saw Bruno got burnt-o. Because I was like, I have no notes. Like, I just really enjoyed the ride.
I didn't really have any notes. My notes are just my reactions. Just what I would have said out loud that I wrote down.
Speaking of reactions, I'd like to transition to one of my notes, which was when Kamran is in Bruno's room. I did say, now kiss. And Alexis, you're muted. Sorry.
I am glad I wasn't the only one who had that thought. I was like, it's enemies to lovers.
Enemies to lovers.
It's working.
Perhaps there's like a spin-off show when they're like graduated and like in their 20s and they come. No, now I'm just pitching like what I want Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to be. So I'll just digress on that note and plug MC
like,
in the coming weeks where I'll share that.
A mechanic and works on cars, and Burnt-o Bruno is like a physicist. I need it to happen. It's also the reboot of Eureka that I want. So like, go ahead and just do both of those
all
things
project
together.
our plots we want to see happen onto Burnt-o
Bruno.
It's a full.
I feel like sort of along this same vein, one of my first notes from this episode when Aisha and Hassan were introduced is these are two of the hottest people I have ever seen.
Oh,
they're just gorgeous.
They're beautiful.
And I will say, like, the use of roses and like the value and like context of roses in the history of like Indian culture and like just there's just an overwhelming amount of like beautifulness of it's a very horrible way to try to articulate what I want to say. It's very late for me, but like I just loved everything about that setup. I thought it was like quite stunning, and the acting I thought was particularly stunning. Like it did not go unnoted how well the script must have been written for them to like apply that performance. It felt so specific. It felt so spiritual. It felt so understood. It felt so like translated by every aspect of like lighting, cinematography, like it reminded me of Sam Wilson's scene in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier when he's training to become Captain America. And it was one of those rare Marvel moments where it felt like everyone understood the assignment of like what this moment needs to be and how we're going to make it happen. And I got chills in the exact same way. And I haven't really felt that since that moment in that project.
Yeah.
To me, all of that is what that sold it to me, because that story on paper is not a story I like. I on paper do not like lost refugee woman gets shelter from man and falls in love with him. Like, I'm not a fan of that story, but I felt like the way that they played it in the acting, I was like, I'm going to choose to like it this time. Like, it is a very likable story in the way that they are portraying it. So we are just going to accept it and go with it from there.
It definitely did not make me question, like, how did she hide her magic for this long duration of time? Like, I feel like there was a lot of pieces I could have gotten lost in with, like, the time jumps in the story and, like, how did it really take, like, Aisha that long, or, like, for all the people to reunite, and, like, yeah. So, but, like, it's to your point that, like, I bought what they did give us, so I didn't even think of that until I was trying to think of things to critique, and I was like, oh, actually, like, a lot of that doesn't stand for me, but, like, it's fine.
Oh, Jack's
I'm
back.
so in love with the stylistic choices that they're making with this show. It's just so iconic in, like, the, like, literal definition of, like, having such, like, memorable imagery, especially with the opening, with the found footage sort of, like, vibe energy, with all of the ways that they were switching between, like, footage and, like, the story, and just everything about the setup of that story was just so well visually crafted that it's so lended into it. I also want to read Liz's note, because I'm so in love with
I
the
love
note
this
that you
note.
wrote, Liz. And when I saw this, it, like, I just lost it. But Liz wrote in her notes for this episode at the top, she looks at you like you're magic, and I can't say I blame her, in all caps. And I was like, I love this.
That's
Like, this
the
is
line.
the energy of the episode.
That's the line that he says. He says that to her.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, there was two thoughts that came into my head, right? There's something so satisfying when a character says a line that you've read in fan fiction 10,000 times, but it can also ruin an entire episode if it's done in a really like in a like mortifying way, where it's like, oh, like, this could have so much meaning, but you're gonna use it as, like, a throwaway statement piece. But he said it, like, and it was the same with the line, I never cared, you chose, and I'm still choosing you. I'm like, we've read this. We've seen this. Like, this is not a new statement to say, but I'm on the couch like, I still choose you. Okay. Like, I'm still losing my goddamn mind.
Well, and it's this theme of choosing family that keeps returning, like through the, I guess it's not technically the Khan family, through Kamala's family, like through the past of, like, her dad says it to Amr, her mom says it when she talks about America being her mountain, like this like messaging of choosing family and power coming from family and strength coming from family just continues. And Jack is opening plastic while I'm giving a really important message.
I do have a big prediction to make. It's like an extrapolated prediction, not like like the show specific. I think that this origin story and this learning curve of, like, family found family that we assume Kamala's now going to leave the show with as, like, her, you know, big motivating factor or learning curve, whatever, is setting her up for the movie she's doing, The Marvels, and perhaps that's going to be her, like, superhero speech moment of being like, we only have each other. We have to be a family. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I see her, like, taking this and applying it to, like, if there's Young Avengers that she's part of, if there's, like, cross collaboration that she's a part of. I feel like we've talked a lot about how the MCU feels very disjointed and it doesn't make sense how they're going to bring pieces together. But this is a story that I'm like, oh, I can see her now having learned the value of this specific thing being one of the people that acts as the glue of the MCU moving forward, which makes me very excited that they've given a character that is so young and so encapsulating and so energetic and fan oriented, and gives a lens of representation that the multiverse needed the power to do that for other characters that have not had such similar opportunities for growth, or like could use, you know, that message. I think there's like some cool application of this moving forward.
I find it to be a particularly cool application because she is so young and fan focused, like fan oriented. We talk a lot on this show and off mic about oversaturated stories, particularly in the MCU, right? And I feel like putting a female character in a position to choose family and choose love is a very oversaturated story in female storytelling, right? To the point that it's almost annoying to me. Like, women have things that they want to fight for other than love and family. But I think what works about it so well here is that we know so much about our family. We know so much about the cultural importance of family, right, in the culture that she's from. And she's young and fan focused. And so I feel like it puts a different lens on this choosing love, choosing family story when you're that age, right? When you're not a mom yourself, right? When you're young and you're developing your own identity, to develop that own identity within and around your family, right, simultaneously, and then to choose that, I think is that twist on the story makes it really empowering here, rather than something that could be really overdone.
And I feel like that stands because of who they put behind the scenes to make it happen, right? And we've talked about how the head writers for this show are of this culture. They're Indian, they're Pakistani, they are of these stories of new immigrant to America families. They identify with the comics. They have found the stories in the comics that they wanted to see and added new world context and new age context to it to make it fit and live with their lived experience. And we have not had that in other Marvel projects, to their detriment. So this goes to the point we say every single week on this show. We've been saying it for a year straight, which is staff behind the camera the stories you want to see in front of the camera, because that's how you get moments that, granted, we are not in the seat to say they are perfect or fully reflective, but we can say in comparison to other projects that you can compare to that didn't even have it as an option, incomparable in their scope of what they're capable of doing. And I think this is a good time to throw to Sly if you want to say one of your most famous taglines on the show, which is hire deaf people to represent deaf culture as we head into future projects with the Eternals and with characters that are deaf. If you'd like.
Yeah, for sure.
I just got excited.
We talked so much during Hawkeye about how it was so evident that there weren't deaf people behind the camera, right? Like, there were so many moments that, you know, were reflective of being such a hearing focused story. And we see that comparison with Hawkeye and Eternals, and the difference there is that is experience, right? You had a more experienced actor who had the position and the power to advocate and ensure that all of these things are happening behind the scenes. And you know, we talk so much about how all of these projects are so isolated and there's not that wealth of information. They're not sharing what they've learned over the course of these projects, and they need something behind the scenes as more of like a wealth of information to help bring in these people, these experts who are working not just in front of the camera but also behind the camera to develop these stories. And you need all of those people that you bring in for each individual project as a representative for that like one moment or whatever. You need to use their experience and their knowledge and their wealth of information for all of your projects, right? You can apply what you learn from working with a deaf actor to literally every project you do moving forward. And we're not seeing that. So I'm hoping they take these people that they're using for Miss Marvel, because they really have such a wide group of people behind the scenes working on this project, and they put those people in all of the projects moving forward.
And I also think like that goes to a point that we talked about in a past episodes about how one of the head writers for the show worked on Loki and went to Marvel and went to the executive producers and said, I know you are doing the Miss Marvel show. I know you do not have head writers. I am the only person in the room who has lived experience with the story. Put me in. And the advocacy and the emotional labor that goes into doing that work across the board, because I'm sure there are countless stories of those people at Marvel who have had to have those conversations and have like done that labor. Like I guess kind of what I want to say is like to the internal advocates that are fighting and receiving what they receive, like we see you and hear you and direct this energy your way, as well as you push from the opposite end to get in the room and have the opportunity to inform your own stories and what you can bring to the screen. I feel like there's so much that can be done from the outside and being loud and saying like, this is what as a community we think we want to see. And as a community, this is what's important to us. And it also takes a different kind of effort to be on the other side and, you know, have the stamina to stick around and see it through, because it can take so long to like break against the glass ceiling, not just the glass ceiling, but like every ceiling and find your way in. And this is proof, I think, like this show in all of its rights and wrongs and what it did well and what it didn't do well is proof that like the fight ends in something that like is really beautiful to the people that it means a lot to. And that like, especially I think for women, like even just taking like one lens of like, we finally got an origin story of a woman written by many women about the many lives women live and what they sacrifice for one another and the love they provide to one another and how they shelter and shield to protect one another. Like the amount of labor of women that went through trying to get Black Widow on screen, that went through trying to get Carol Danvers on screen, that have like, you know, tried for so long to get any woman on screen, and how that feeds into a story like Miss Marvel finally coming to light. Like it's so long in the making to have a moment like this. Oh, sorry. I just get chills thinking about it all. It's like, it's such a fight like the whole way through. And it's not just like one person, but one person can go forward because of all the other people before that did so much work too. I don't know. I feel like my thought went like 12 million different ways, but we got somewhere at the end of it. Who wants to say something that's not me before I cry?
Well,
I want to just shout out the writing on this. It's just so funny, and not in like a like trying to get like pause for laughter moment, but just like the quips are so good. And one of my favorite moments this episode was the US government may or may not have several warrants out for my arrest. I love that. That's so fun and funny, and like what an incredible piece of lore that is just like a quick throwaway line, but is just like so humorous and fun. And you know, we're telling this, especially this episode, we're telling a story of grief and loss and sacrifice, but to just have those moments that don't feel like shoehorned in is just like so well crafted. But speaking of grief and loss and sacrifice, there were two stories in this one episode about a mother's sacrifice.
Before we go into that, I do want to let Alexis close the other conversation, because I think you were going to chime in on that. Were you going to chime in on something before we go a different way?
No, I mean, it's not really important. All I was going to say was that I'm really thankful for the people involved in this project. And I think one of the things that is really special about what they've done is that not only have they created really positive representation for their own culture, but they have invited all of us watching it into experiencing that culture in a really, real way, right? I think there is a way that this story could have been told where, rightfully so, the audience, certain audiences felt like outsiders. And I think one of the interesting things that this episode did was, little girl's running through the train station and she's like, Ami, 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 right? Because she's looking for her mother. And it was so interesting to me that is one of the only words in the series that they took time earlier to define. Like, as a show, they have been very intentional about like giving us what they're saying in other languages, but not defining them in spoken English in the show, right? And not explaining cultural practices in spoken English in the show. And that was one that they did, right? When she first meets Kamran, she like stops and says, oh, sorry, I mean, right? And he's like, no, I know what it means, right? And to me, that was such like, to see that loop back was such this like meaningful moment of like, you're inviting me in to understand this thing that is really significant and emotionally fraught in your own culture. And I'm just really thankful for having had that experience and thankful for the people that created that for us.
I love how you framed that. Completely agree. Marissa, do you want to add anything before we go back in Sly's direction on a different note?
Oh, I do actually. I was like, no, everything you just said was so beautiful. But on this point of representation, as a person who has been at Disneyland while Kamala Khan is at Disneyland, and while there is Ms. Marvel merch available at Disneyland, I have seen so many little South Asian girls running up to the Ms. Marvel merch and so excited to buy it, because it's a character that looks like them and has the same story as them and has a family like them. And like, I was on the search for the Scarlet Witch ears, and there was a girl in the store that was like, Mom, look, it's Ms. Marvel. It's Ms. Marvel. I want it so bad. It was just like so exciting to see that the, yes, like capitalism and whatever, but that's
the best disclaimer that's ever been said on this show.
But the like availability of characters that like you can buy merch for at Disneyland, and a character you can meet at Disneyland is expanding and is continuing to represent more communities. And that's just really exciting. And it's really, really exciting to be able to see it like in person.
And this is only 6 weeks in to Ms. Marvel existing. Like, let's be clear. Are we 6 or 5 weeks into this?
5. Well,
5?
I guess 5. Yeah,
5
this was
weeks
episode
in,
5.
And that's like how big the impact is, right? And with all of that, and I'm adjusting for time, we have 8 minutes left until I'm going to cut us off and we're going to end the show. Sly, let's go back to your point.
You can take it away.
No, I would you like to restate the point for the conversation, and then we'll jump back into it?
Oh, there's such a strong parallel over the arc of this episode of the idea of a mother's sacrifice, and that being such a trope we see, but the way they paralleled those two stories with Aisha and Najma was just really interesting.
Now, I do want to use that to bring up a TikTok that Alexis sent me earlier today. Alexis, do you remember the video you sent me about the academic article about how women's bodies are used in media? Mm-hmm. Would you like to explain it? Because I only half remember it, but like as soon as Sly said that, I was like, oh.
Yeah, there was a TikTok, and I'm blanking on who created it.
I can find it here.
But about looking for an academic article about the way that female bodies are so often used as vessels, specifically in sci-fi and fantasy. And we're quoting or referencing shows like Buffy and Dollhouse, where the spirit of the female character has passed, but their body goes on to inhabit another female character or continue to tell that story. Would like to point out that both of those are projects by the same person, and you can figure out who that is. But I thought that was something that I think I've noticed in media, but not something I would have put in those terms, which is why I thought it was so interesting.
And the article is A Fate Worse Than Marriage by Carmen Maria Machado. And it can be found on Andrea Longchu's Substack. And I thought that was a very interesting point in relation to this episode as well. And I'm interested to see, like, when we have this whole thing wrapped, how relevant or not relevant this point is.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to say about Miss Marvel? I know we had a lot more in the notes. I want to just quickly say that, like, boys not remembering each other's names felt like very accurate writing as well. So I thought Brian was your name the whole time. I was like, yeah, that checks for me.
I had a note that I thought was really funny. But when Cameron was like, she wouldn't leave me behind like some kind of orphan, my commentary was, are you in a place to receive information that might hurt you, bestie?
I did. I read that like immediately after I watched the episode, and I had a little chuckle.
Marissa, you had some notes that were good.
Did I?
Yeah, the second from the top on your list.
Oh. Yeah. Aisha's smoky eye. I feel passionately about it, but I will not mention it because I'm just going to accept that she's really hot, and the smoky eye just helps. It's historically inaccurate, but we're moving on.
Any other comments you want to make before we wrap this?
I want to steal everybody else's commentary about every episode. There's a new piece of the outfit because somebody credited that to me, and I absolutely was not the person who said that out loud. So
must have been Alexis.
Shout out to whoever had that thought.
There was only 3 of us on screen, so by process of elimination, we can confirm it was Alexis. Also, if you want to rewatch last week's episode, but yeah, that was in relation to Kamala receiving another piece of fabric, and as soon as it happened, I was like, I understand what's happening now, because I was just thinking those were nice gestures, but now I understand there is deeper meaning. So shout out Alexis for accurately calling that and making for a better viewing experience. That's why we do this show, to learn things and then watch the next episode and go, aha, we talked about that.
I'm going to be really mad though if we get to the finale and she just has like a pile of clothes but doesn't do anything with them. I'm going to be really upset if it's like, or she does the Marvels and gets like a whole nother costume and I'm like, but all of these cool pieces of clothing are right there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how we end this thing and see where she goes as the next big superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. But we did forget something extremely important in our Only Murders in the Building discussion that I remembered halfway through talking about Miss Marvel, which is that we do have one more primary suspect on the board. Drum roll, Alexis.
Yeah.
I can't do it when you tell me to do it because I laugh. I can't do it for you.
This is why we need a soundboard, so I can just have the cue of Alexis going.
Yeah. Every time I laugh and I can't. Sorry.
I'm sorry. We have breaking news. Also, as incredible as the inflatable man, but Bucky sent a thing to the Instagram chat.
Oh God.
I don't have time for this.
We have time for this.
What is it?
Oh,
no one say it
my
out loud.
God.
No one say it out loud. No one say it out loud. Hold on. I'm queuing it for the team. We can't play it or else YouTube will take down our stream, but I will send the link in the group for everyone to watch when we close the show.
Yeah.
Let's not mention it now, Sly. You are a genius for calling this now. Okay. Wacky Inflatable Man is a primary suspect in Only Murders in the Building. Alexis called this in the pre-show chat. Would you like to explain?
No, I think all I said was it would be really great if the suspect was the giant green inflatable man. I think that's all I said.
Yep.
Surely there is a car dealership involved somewhere. Like maybe DJ Waiter also works at a car dealership on the side. There's got to be someone somewhere.
Oh, who is it? Oliver's car, I think, is in very bad shape from
Mhm.
season 1.
Yep.
So
There you
yeah, definitely.
I would like to add the theory. Bunky says she has no one to leave the money to.
Mhm.
Wacky inflatable man is a thing.
Sure.
So she can't leave
I
the money
quit.
to a thing that you have to plug into the wall and blow up to wave at you.
Yeah.
I also just love the visual with a burning passion of Bunny sitting at a booth and like plugging in a thing under the booth, and you hear, and then he just like appears from below the booth and like waves while she's eating her food.
Oh, can you imagine if that is like Ivan returns to work and is like, I don't want to say that you had lunch with an wacky inflatable man yesterday, but that's the rumor around the pickle diner.
I'm really glad this is the point that a lot of people came back to keep watching the show with us on, because our viewer count just went up. So welcome back, everyone. You missed really moving, riveting
The
commentary.
power of the wacky inflatable man.
We had a lot of conversation about representation of media that you can go back and watch, or you can stay and watch us talk about how an inflatable man is responsible for killing Bunny in Mabel's apartment.
And on that note,
that's really all we have to say about that. I made it really big on the screen, but I'm sure Sly will find a way to make it look not so ugly. I just didn't want to forget it. That's our show for this week with a half hour of extra bonus content. I'm Liz. You can find me everywhere at Producer Liz. I've accidentally rebranded into like a Niall Horan account because TikTok has decided that every time I post about Niall, my views do really well. So if you want to see me talk about how Lewis Capaldi and Niall Horan need to go back on tour and talk about my birthday and announce the Liz Olympics, you can follow me everywhere at Producer Liz. Marissa?
I'm Marissa. I'm at Miss Abovissa on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find me talking about all kinds of things, mostly anything available on Disney Plus and theater and Wigs.
And
Disneyland.
And
oh, and the Gay Pirates.
There it is. Sly?
Hi, I'm Sly. I'm a deaf queer Jane Austen fan. That will be pertinent information next week. You can follow me on the internet at SlyClinMC wherever you want to. Can't guarantee there'll be any new content. No, I have not made a TikTok since March. It's fine. But if you want to chat about anything, follow me somewhere, chat with me somewhere. I'm around. We'll see if I ever go back to making content.
You can find Sly every week on Point in Progress. And Thursday.
So Canadian.
Thursday.
Oh my God.
Point in Progress.
Point in progress.
Or progress. No, I never say progress.
Progress.
I like the idea that like there's a variant of your show, Sly, but it's like Point in Progress. Point in Progress.
Well, 2/5 of us are Canadian.
Yeah,
So
that's why it was
2/5
so
of
funny
us
to me.
do
Yeah.
say Point in Progress.
Progress.
So
Oh, they do?
it's normal to me. Like what?
Oh, I love it.
Whatever.
Nice.
We're
sorry,
bicultural. I don't know. We're from 2 countries.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I got completely distracted by trying to pronounce this in my head. Thank you for that brain teaser.
No, Mac has been on it in the comments tonight. I've been
Mac?
highly
Progress.
impressed.
Actually, I think that would be progress.
I don't know when we I don't know when we subscribed to like elevated comments from our viewers, but like I think Mac upgraded us to another tier of comedy this evening. A lot of you did actually. You've all been a joy to hang out with for the last 2 hours. Alexis.
I am at Alexis Blake Reads Comics on TikTok, and I'm at Alexis T. Blake with an underscore everywhere else on the internet. And I haven't really posted any content, But I'm about to redo part of my house, so I will be posting about that. If you watch Rabbits, you should send me stuff and we can talk about it. And I am also, hopefully next week, launching a store where you can get some estate sale things for me. So I will post all that on
Do you ship to
Instagram.
Canada?
I am going to ship to Canada. So you can find me on Instagram to track that saga. So we'll see how that goes.
How many of the things are going to be gay disaster chairs?
That should have been the question I asked. My question should have been like, why can't Sly come to my house? No gay disaster chairs at the moment. Right now, I own all the gay disaster chairs. They're all with me.
Are there 4 of them?
There are 4 of these leather ones. Yeah.
So we all need to come to your house and shoot an episode with each of us in a gay disaster chair.
The best part is these are like legitimately from the 70s, right? Like they still have the stuff on the bottom, but they roll. Like they're rolly. They were rolly like James Bond poker chairs.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
The day that we can shoot an episode in person, it's over for the internet. Like it's gonna be the best and worst content y'all have ever seen in your life. I do want to say to this question, the Liz Olympics are being announced, people. Be patient. This week, you will hear the most obnoxious commentary around how you can celebrate my birthday with and without me. Because it's a national holiday for everybody. Leo season is coming. With that, our grand finale, courtesy of Bucky, is we have found the footage of Alexis getting slimed.
Well, I have not watched it. So potential, because
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Were you wearing a pink shirt when you got pie in the face?
Probably. I don't remember.
Because I think I found it.
Okay.
We're going to allow Alexis to watch the footage and then link it on our Instagram story at After Party Show. So if you would like to see it, turn on Instagram notifications. We only post the notifications for the show. So if you don't have notifications turned on, I don't know what you're doing anyway, because you should.
Shame them.
Well,
Shame
like,
all
it's
of
just
them.
we are of service to you. We don't shit post on the Instagram account. It's for your benefit. So you know you can turn on your reminders, you can share content with your friends to help get them to watch. It's all on there for you.
That's true. It's informational. It's educational.
It's informational, educational content, and Alexis getting slimed. So follow and it will be available semi-shortly, even if it's just a screenshot. But thank you for joining us on We'll Throw the After Party. You better get ready for next week because we are talking Thor: Love and Thunder, and I have like 5 hours of content of just me talking about one post-credit scene that I'm gonna have to whittle down into like 3 sentences for y'all. So I'm gonna spend the next week doing that. We've got pirate ship commentary, we've got the gay commentary, we've got it's been a moment for the group chat, and it's coming to you next week. Pull up a seat because it will be loud, and we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.